My phone was picked up by some delinquent girl. She went through my photo album and took a liking to my boyfriend. She pestered my boyfriend relentlessly, even braved the rain to deliver a homemade cake. My boyfriend held me and scolded her. "You're so shameless, knowing I have a girlfriend yet still rushing to be the other woman." Later, at our wedding, she got into a car accident while speeding, resulting in 2 lives lost. My boyfriend rushed to the scene like a madman, holding her and crying his heart out. "I already married you. Why did you still harm her?" He grew to hate me for it and went crazy trying to bankrupt my family's company. They even locked me up in a mental hospital while I was 3 months pregnant. When I opened my eyes again, I had reincarnated to the day when the little delinquent girl brought the cake. I stopped my boyfriend from closing the door and said to her, "It's hard to get a taxi in the rain, you should stay here tonight." 1. A sharp pain shot through my wrist. Someone is gripping my wrist forcefully, as if trying to crush it. Wincing in pain, I furrow my brows and turn to see Qingjiashu's extremely unpleasant expression. Following Qingjiashu's gaze, what comes into view is Chen Tian, drenched from head to toe, her figure subtly outlined by the light, her face still bearing a trace of stubbornness. Chen Tian holds up a box in her hand, insistently trying to shove it into Qingjiashu's grasp. "I made this myself, you must try it. How can you be so despicable?" Qingjiashu abruptly flipped open the cake box. His voice was cold and harsh, but upon closer listening, it seemed to carry a barely perceptible tremor. Chen Tian's eyes reddened, full of grievance, while Qingjiashu's grip on my hand tightened increasingly. Only then did I belatedly realize I had been reborn. In my past life, Chen Tian found my lost phone and took it to a repair shop to reset it, intending to keep it for herself. But when she opened the photo album and saw a picture of me with my boyfriend Qingjiashu, she fell in love with him at first sight. She used my phone to call Qingjiashu, obtaining his contact information under the pretense of returning the device. Even knowing full well that Qingjiashu had a girlfriend, Chen Tian couldn't care less. Every day, she wore a tight leather skirt, leaned against her motorcycle, and waited outside Qingjiashu's company for him to finish work. Each time, Qingjiashu would coldly dismiss her without a word, having security escort her away, yet she persisted in her ways. Even on Qingjiashu's birthday banquet, she showed up uninvited, standing in the rain with a small cake she made herself, begging him to try it. At that moment, Qingjiashu tightly held my hand and scolded her coldly. "You know I have a girlfriend. Yet you shamelessly keep coming around every day. Are you that eager to be the other woman?" "Chen Tian, your lack of morals and shamelessness is truly disgusting." Chen Tian was scolded to tears and stormed off angrily in her high heels, yet the next day, she continued pestering Qingjiashu relentlessly. Undeterred, too, Chen Tian would also frequently call Qingjiashu's phone late at night while drunk. I was woken up twice and was utterly annoyed. Qingjiashu held me and comforted me for a while, then angrily answered the phone and gave Chen Tian a good scolding. He repeatedly swore to me that he would properly handle Chen Tian and wouldn't let her disturb us again. Later, Chen Tian truly never appeared in my sight again, vanishing without a trace. Occasionally, I'd recall with amusement and tease Qingjiashu about Chen Tian. "That girl has such a bold personality, who knows who she's fallen for now?" Chasing after them with all her passion, Qingjiashu stiffened slightly, turned aside, and replied to a few messages. After a long pause, he finally turned off his screen and murmured softly, "Who knows, I don't care." Qingjiashu came over to hug me, kissing my forehead. "If you hadn't mentioned her, I might have nearly forgotten who she was." Back then, I truly believed Qingjiashu didn't care about Chen Tian at all, until, at my wedding with Qingjiashu, Chen Tian got into a car accident while speeding, resulting in 2 lives lost. Qingjiashu ran out of the wedding like a madman, rushed to the accident scene, and held her while crying his heart out. He looked at me, who arrived hastily holding up my wedding dress, his eyes red with anger. "I already married you. Why did you still have to harm her? She just likes me. She doesn't ask for any status. She can't possibly threaten your position, and the baby in her belly is only 3 months old. Why must you insist on her death?" My body froze, rooted to the spot. It took me a long time to process, but I still couldn't understand what Qingjiashu was saying. He rushed at me like a madman and slapped me hard with his blood-stained hand. I cried as I tried to explain to him I knew nothing about it, but Qingjiashu completely refused to believe it. He grew to utterly despise me and went mad with destroying my family's company. Later, he placed Chen Tian's memorial tablet in our bedroom, forcing me to kneel and repent for 3 hours every day. He kept tormenting me relentlessly. When I was 3 months pregnant, He personally had me committed to a mental institution, and bribed the doctors and nurses inside to give me special care. The daily electric shocks and beatings quickly weakened me, but for the little life growing inside me, I fought desperately to survive, until Chen Tian's death anniversary, when Qing Jiashu came to see me. His eyes red as he demanded I apologize to Chen Tian and her child in the afterlife. Then he dragged me to the rooftop and pushed me off the building. When I opened my eyes again, I had reincarnated to the day Chen Tian brought the cake. At this moment, although Qing Jiashu wore a cold expression, his hand movements betrayed his concern. Now, watching the intimate eye contact between them, I realized how foolish I had been in my past life. Qing Jiashu's gaze was firmly locked on Chen Tian's dripping wet hair. The heartache in his eyes was almost overflowing. Yet his face still wore an expression of utter disgust. Get lost, don't bring bad luck on my birthday, Qing Jiashu shouted coldly at Chen Tian. He pressed his lips tightly and was about to close the door when I reached out to stop him. Wait a moment. I crouched down, picked up the cake that had fallen to the ground, and turned to Qing Jiashu. The road is slippery in the rain, let her stay tonight. Qing Jiashu was taken aback for a moment, while Chen Tian's eyes suddenly lit up. 3. Qing Jiashu's birthdays were always celebrated very simply each year. His mother passed away early, and his current stepmother had given birth to a son. Cheng's father poured all his affection into the younger son. Without reminders, he would never remember Qing Jiashu's birthday. Ever since Qing Jiashu turned 10, I'd been the one celebrating his birthdays with him. I would always thoughtfully bake him a cake myself, prepare longevity noodles, give him carefully selected gifts, and make wishes over candles, praying for his success and happiness in all endeavors. But now it's different. Qing Jiashu sits at the head of the table, with me on his right. Meanwhile, Chen Tian, who had changed out of his soaked shirt into my clothes, sat somewhat awkwardly on his left. Qing Jiashu began cutting the cake expressionlessly. After getting the first sliced piece, he paused briefly before handing it to me. While cutting the second piece, Chen Tian looked at Qing Jiashu timidly, her face full of longing, but Qing Jiashu didn't even glance at her. With a cold expression, he placed the cake on his own plate before tossing the knife and fork aside. Cut it yourself if you want some. I ate the overly sweet cake on my plate with a calm expression. Even though I had made it myself using the finest ingredients and our favorite flavors, for the first time, I felt slightly nauseated. It suddenly occurred to me that long ago, the cake I made was too big for Qing Jiashu to finish, worried it wouldn't taste good overnight. When I tried to give it to someone else, Qing Jiashu kept gulping water while eating, growling through clenched teeth. This was made for me by you. Even if I can't finish it, I absolutely won't allow you to give it to anyone else. But now, watching Chen Tian pitifully cutting the cake, he says, what an idiot. Can't even cut a cake properly. So he'd already treated Chen Tian differently from this early on. I pity my past self for being so foolish that even when the truth was right before my eyes, I still couldn't see it. Truly blind to the obvious, I lowered my gaze when Qing Jiashu suddenly let out an exclamation. Meow meow, why are you crying? Qing Jiashu nervously moved closer, pulling me into his arms in one swift motion. Chen Tian's face instantly darkened as she unconsciously poked at the cake on her plate, helplessly watching as Qing Jiashu held me in his arms, unable to do anything but glare at me resentfully. I have a bit of a headache. I struggled out of Qing Jiashu's embrace. I'm going to rest in my room for a while. I genuinely felt unwell. Just the sight of Chen Tian and Qing Jiashu made my body subconsciously recall the electric shocks administered by nurses in the mental hospital, that brain-searing pain that made me tremble uncontrollably and feel intensely nauseous. Qing Jiashu didn't follow me. With my head spinning dizzily, I sent a message to my emergency contact. 4. When Zhou He arrived, a heavy rainstorm was raging outside. You're running a fever, he said, half kneeling by my bedside as he touched my forehead and immediately reached this conclusion. Where's Qing Jiashu? Zhou He asked with a frown, lying weakly on the bed. I looked at him and suddenly curled my lips into a smile. I crooked my finger at Zhou He, and when he leaned in, I suddenly grabbed his tie, pulling him even closer to me. We were so close that our breaths seemed to intertwine. Zhou He froze for a moment, instinctively trying to retreat, but I held him tightly. Zhou He, you like me, don't you? I asked him with a raised eyebrow. The tall man in front of me froze for a moment, then cursed under his breath. Are you delirious from fever? I'll take you to the hospital. Stop making trouble. I burst out laughing, coughing several times from the force of my laughter. Zhou He grew nervous, hurriedly fetching me water and clumsily helping me drink it. After finally managing to suppress my cough, I smiled at Zhou He and said, Qing Jiashu cheated on me. Zhou He froze for a moment, instinctively turning to look at me, his eyes dark and unreadable. Despite my illness, I dragged myself to take him to the third-to-last guest room on the third floor. The moment Zhou He stepped inside, his footsteps faltered slightly. The first thing that reached his ears was faint, intermittent gasping sounds. But soon, Qing Jiashu's distinctive voice emerged through the sound of rain. Slut. How dare you seduce me wearing my girlfriend's clothes? Do you like it? Shen Tian's voice was seductive, mixed with a hint of panting. There was silence inside for a moment. Then Qing Jiashu's panting voice said, I like it so much. I leaned closer to Zhou He, and this time he didn't step back but reached out to steady me. Hey, Zhou He, I've been cheated on, it hurts so much. I met his gaze and said, kiss me to comfort me. Okay. Zhou He laughed in exasperation, swept his bangs back, then gripped my waist and asked coldly. Are you using me as a backup? Are you happy about this or not? I asked nonchalantly. Zhou He stared at me intensely, and after a long silence, came a storm of kisses that landed haphazardly on my lips, face, chin, and neck. Damn it, he cursed under his breath, I'm really no match for you. Zhou He was my university clubmate from before, and I knew from my past life that Zhou He liked me. When Qing Jiashu had me thrown into the mental hospital, Zhou He kept coming to see me, trying to find a way to get me out, but each time he was stopped by Qing Jiashu's people. Once, under the cover of night, he sneaked in to take me away but was caught red-handed by Qing Jiashu. I never saw him again, only heard that a schizophrenic patient with supermale syndrome in the mental hospital brutally beat a visiting guest to death in the restroom. Later, I learned that the person beaten to death was Zhou He. It was all Qing Jiashu's setup. My memories came to an abrupt halt under Zhou He's piercing gaze. He wanted to kiss me again, but I stepped back and accidentally knocked over a chair. At that moment, the noise from next door suddenly stopped. The next second, Qing Jiashu suddenly shouted, Who's there? 5. When Qing Jiashu barged in with Chen Tian, his clothes were disheveled. I happened to be pulling Zhou He into the wardrobe, just managing to close the door. In the cramped space, two adults were squeezed together. The slightest movement made our skin touch. Zhou He's body was tense, trying hard to shrink into the corner, yet I deliberately went against his wishes, persistently leaning into him. Stop messing around, Zhou He whispered, trying to push me away but afraid his strength might send both me and the wardrobe door flying. His restrained movements seemed to me like playing hard to get. I chuckled softly and stopped teasing him, focusing instead on the noises outside, out of the corner of my eye. I caught Zhou He's slightly regretful and unwilling expression, and I faintly curved my lips. I opened a small gap and peeked through it, seeing Qing Jiashu, who hadn't even fastened his belt properly, looking around the room with an unpleasant expression. He noticed the balcony window left open with a howling draft, frowned slightly, clearly finding it somewhat odd. It was at this moment that Chen Tian hugged Qing Jiashu from behind. What are you afraid of? Chen Tian coquettishly snorted, continuing with clear displeasure. Afraid your little fiancé might find out. As she spoke, her hand restlessly slid downward from Qing Jiashu's abdomen. Don't worry, it's just the sound of the wind. Your fiancé loves you so much. If she heard us, she'd probably burst in crying, demanding an explanation from you. There's no way she'd just slink away. I detected a hint of mocking sarcasm in Chen Tian's tone. It must be admitted that your enemy knows you best in this world. If it were me in my past life, I would indeed have acted exactly as Chen Tian described. Even if I saw them in bed with my own eyes, I still wouldn't believe it. I would only cry and confront Qing Jiashu. As long as he explained that it wasn't what it seemed, I could dismiss everything as a misunderstanding. Qing Jiashu's eyes darkened slightly, still feeling something was amiss, wanting to find where the oddity lay, but a certain sensitive part of his body was suddenly grabbed by Chen Tian. Drawing a muffled groan from him, Chen Tian stuck out her pink tongue and licked her lips. Their eyes met like dry wood encountering a raging fire, ready to ignite at any moment. Intermittent, suppressed gasps desperately seeped through the cracks of the wardrobe. In the already cramped and crowded wardrobe, both Zhou He and I found our breathing growing heavier involuntarily. He awkwardly tugged at his collar, undid 2 buttons, leaned down and asked me, That bastard Qing Jiashu cheated on you right in front of your face. Want me to go out and teach them a lesson? Don't. I reached out to stop Zhou He's eager hand, raising an eyebrow to glare at him irritably. Don't think I don't know what's going on in his mind. She's just eager to confirm Qing Jiashu's affair to secure her own position. The intention is practically written on her face. Don't expose this situation yet. I have other plans. I don't just want to label this as an ordinary affair. For everything Qing Jiaxu did to me in my past life, I'll repay him double. The two inside were completely absorbed in their passionate encounter, completely unaware that I'd opened the wardrobe gap and activated my phone's camera. 10 minutes later, Chen Tian, disgusted by the dust that had settled everywhere, dragged Qing Jiaxu back to the room next door. Only after the sounds from next door started up again did Zhou He and I emerge from the wardrobe. 6. After Zhou He fed me some cold medicine, I shooed him away. In my drowsy state, I sensed that Qing Jiaxu had come back for a while. He placed his hand on my forehead, and seeing that I was sound asleep, he didn't even bother to sleep beside me, going straight to find Chen Tian instead. After he left, I slowly opened my eyes and calculated the timing. It seemed Chen Tian got pregnant with that child around this period. I've given them such a perfect opportunity today, they'd better not disappoint me. When I woke up the next day, Chen Tian had already left, while Qing Jiaxu was sitting on the sofa eating breakfast, a simple sandwich with ham and egg, quite ordinary, but the bread on the surface was carefully lightly fried. This breakfast must have been specially made by Chen Tian as a loving meal for Qing Jiaxu. I didn't expect an outsider like me to get a taste too. Sitting at the table, I took a sip of milk, paused, and asked, made by Chen Tian. Qing Jiaxu, who was almost finished eating, froze for a moment before remembering his supposed dislike for Chen Tian in the next second. Qing Jiaxu continued eating leisurely and said, well, she's used to doing these kinds of servile tasks anyway. She insisted on doing it as thanks for letting her stay last night, so I didn't stop her. Oh, I responded without making a move. Frowning slightly, Qing Jiaxu tossed aside the sandwich with just one bite left, plopped down beside me, and looked at me with utmost seriousness as he said, meow meow, I know she's annoying, her presence has completely disrupted our normal life. After today, I'll handle her properly. She won't appear before you again, nor will she upset you anymore. My meow meow is the best treasure in the world. Don't get angry over irrelevant people, okay? Your husband will always love you. Qing Jiaxu spoke with genuine emotion, his face filled with disgust when mentioning Chen Tian. In my past life, I was completely fooled by that exact expression of his. I just didn't expect things to progress so quickly in this lifetime. But after just one short night, Qing Jiaxu no longer wanted to keep up this tiresome act. He couldn't wait to build a golden house to hide his treasure, to conceal Chen Tian away so they could indulge in each other every day. What could I possibly be dissatisfied with about this? I could only pretend to reluctantly agree and nod. Qing Jiaxu immediately beamed with joy and tried to kiss me, but I dodged. I still have a cold, it wouldn't be good to infect you, I whispered to him. Qing Jiaxu was immersed in immense joy at this moment, completely indifferent to what I had said. Even though I showed no signs of fever, he didn't notice, just perfunctorily saying, alright, rest well today. Qing Jiaxu left in a hurry. He didn't go to work but instead went to a large flat he had bought near the company. By now, Chen Tian had probably been waiting there for a long time. I poured out the milk in the cup and sent someone a message. I want coffee. The reply first came with an utterly speechless ellipsis, followed by, for heaven's sake, I'm working. No one's home at my place. I calmly sent him this follow-up. The next second, an instant reply popped up. Got it, be there in 20 minutes. Watching Zhou Hefa's expression, I couldn't help but curl my lips into a smile. 7. Qing Jiaxu hadn't returned to the villa for over half a month. He was indeed busy. The entertainment company we co-founded was gaining strong momentum. A low-budget web series featuring several newly signed artists unexpectedly became an overnight sensation. The number of advertising and script offers was overwhelming, with each offering higher prices than the last, leaving Qing Jiaxu absolutely thrilled. Having been with Qing Jiaxu for so long, I knew all too well that once he got busy, he'd disappear, ignoring unimportant calls, barely replying to messages, often sleeping at the office, only occasionally coming back. But Chen Tian, who had just been all lovey-dovey with Qing Jiaxu, had no idea. Unable to reach Qing Jiaxu and desperate to know his whereabouts, Chen Tian couldn't help but check my social media accounts. She refreshed my page hundreds of times in a single day, and I knew she was anxious. I smiled but ignored her. After reading the message, I nudged Zhou He's arm beside me and asked, how's the talent poaching going? Zhou He adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses slightly, shifting his gaze from the computer to me, and replied, I offered generous terms as you suggested. But it didn't work, they're all young newcomers who just got popular. Qing Jiaxu promised to promote them, so none want to leave. I smiled faintly, gazing at the freshly painted red nail polish on my fingertips, and whispered softly, "It's fine, they'll soon realize that Qing Jiaxu's promises are worthless." Meeting Zhou He's puzzled gaze, I handed him the information in my hand, leaned in close to his ear, and said, "Tomorrow, Qing Jiaxu will be negotiating for a major fantasy drama IP script titled Half a Pool of Splendor in Chang'an. I want you to intercept it." In my past life, I devoted myself wholeheartedly to Qing Jiaxu. That fantasy drama was one I recommended to him. At the time, no one could have predicted it would later become a phenomenal hit. Qing Jiaxu stuffed all the newcomers from his own family into the business, quickly cultivating a group of cash cows for himself in a short time. Later, money bred more money, he made a fortune, but used that wealth to drive our family into bankruptcy. In this lifetime, I won't give him any more of these opportunities. I will crush every single chance he has to rise to prominence. Okay, Zhou He didn't hesitate, didn't even ask me why. With just that simple okay, he agreed. I hadn't expected him to be so easy to talk to. I lowered my gaze to look at him, somewhat surprised. Zhou He closed his laptop, took off his glasses, and looked at me frankly, saying, "Since I'm helping you with such a big favor, shouldn't you give me something in return, huh?" I blinked my eyes, my face full of confusion. The person before me looked honest and reliable, yet with that very face, he uttered an extremely embarrassing sentence with utmost calmness. "Zhou," he said righteously, "kiss me." My cheeks suddenly burned hot, and as I turned to run, Zhou He yanked me back. The moment Zhou He kissed me, my head spun like the sky and earth were turning upside down. This brat. Last time he could only kiss recklessly like a bull in a china shop. 8. Thank you darling for the gift heart. Even when busy with work, those who love you will still remember it's Valentine's Day. I posted a photo of a handbag and a bouquet of roses, deliberately zooming in on the words written on the roses. A bold statement like "I love you baby, wait for me to have dinner together tonight," paired with a heart emoji is undeniably eye-catching. The moment I posted this content, Chen Tian visited my profile, accidentally gave it a like on purpose, then quickly cancelled it. I'm gambling on Chen Tian's madness, betting on her almost obsessive possessiveness towards Qing Jiaxu. Chen Tian is an utterly crazy woman. She keeps shamelessly declaring love to Qing Jiaxu despite knowing he has a girlfriend. After receiving Qing Jiaxu's love, there's absolutely no way I'd let go. Chen Tian went to Qing Jiaxu's company but didn't see him, while I deliberately arranged for someone to reveal Qing Jiaxu's location to her. At exactly 9 p.m. I sat in the farthest corner of the restaurant, cleverly using an antique shelf to conceal myself, waiting for the drama to unfold. Qing Jiaxu arrived with his group at 9:05, 7 people in total. I recognized 2 as the company's accountant and secretary, 2 very elegant young women, while the other 4 were there for business negotiations. Before they even sat down, I saw Chen Tian rush out. Staring at Qing Jiaxu with a completely distraught expression, I perked up, thinking Chen Tian would go completely hysterical and lose it. Unexpectedly, she used a roundabout tactic. No shouting, no tantrums, just tears as her weapon. "That move won't work, little sister." I clicked my tongue in frustration, feeling helpless, wondering whether to add fuel to the fire. Chen Tian, living up to expectations, dropped a bombshell. "I'm pregnant, Qing Jiaxu. I know you don't want this child. I'll do as you wish and get rid of it." After saying this, the girl flung a test report at Qing Jiaxu, then her eyes turned red, giving him a deep look as if he were a heartless scoundrel before turning on her high heels and running away. Qing Jiaxu glanced at the test report in his hand, and his face immediately filled with panic. Tian, don't, come back." At this moment, he could think of nothing else. His mind was consumed by the fact that Chen Tian was carrying his child. With a sudden stomp of his foot, he dashed out after her, leaving the client completely unattended. "You absolutely cannot abort the child. That's our baby. I won't allow it." Everyone froze in place, watching helplessly as Qing Jiaxu ran away, especially the 2 people Qing Jiaxu brought along. Their faces were a mess of confusion and helplessness. They knew about the relationship between Qing Jiaxu and me and had even called me boss lady a few times. The 2 young girls didn't know what to do. Seeing the customer's dark expression, they could only anxiously send me a message. Seeing the consecutive messages popping up on my phone, I smiled faintly, grateful for their honesty, and replied, "Don't worry, it's already taken care of." Just as I sent the reply, Zhou He appeared in my line of sight, swiftly steering the conversation back on track. watching him chatting and laughing as he led a few clients to the private room. I sent him a thumbs up emoji. Joe, he replied, little fox, wait for me outside, don't run off. I raised my eyebrows, itching to clap back at him, but remembering he was in the middle of negotiations, I silently deleted the snarky reply I'd just typed. Around 10:30, when I saw Joe, he emerged with a smile curling his lips. I knew in my heart, this deal was sealed. He approached with the contract, looking down at me imperiously before crooking his finger and saying, let's go. I arched an eyebrow and stayed put. Joe, he sighed softly, half kneeling before me as he murmured, you really never let me have even one moment of triumph. Reach out your hand, Joe. He glared at me resentfully, and I obediently extended my hand. I had thought Joe he would let me glance at the contract, but to my surprise, he slipped a pigeon egg-sized ring onto my index finger. Frozen in place, I instinctively tried to withdraw my hand, only for Joe he to grip it tightly. He gently kissed the back of my hand and whispered softly, meow meow, happy Valentine's Day. For some reason, my nose tingled with emotion, touched and on the verge of tears. I didn't prepare anything for you. I felt embarrassed, as his thoughtfulness seemed to highlight my half-heartedness. Joe he, however, smiled with crescent eyes, holding my hand as we walked home, saying, you make my heart flutter more than any gift ever could. The night was long, and the moonlight stretched our two shadows far across the ground. Qing Jiaxu should be holding Chen Tian right now, whispering sweet comforts. Thrilled at the prospect of becoming a father soon, he must have completely forgotten about his fiancée and all those film contracts, his heart and mind filled only with Chen Tian and the child in her belly. But I never expected that he'd even take a moment from his busy schedule to send me a perfunctory message. Sweetheart, I'm sleeping at the office tonight, don't wait up, get some rest early. Little did he know, his supposedly lonely fiancée was actually being kissed senseless. Even that message was replied by Zhou He on my behalf. 9. Qing Jiaxu wasn't anxious about losing the collaboration for that fantasy drama. He even had the mood to take the pregnant Chen Tian out for trips, accompanying her to every prenatal checkup. At this moment, in his eyes, no contract, no career development, no fiancé mattered more than the pregnant Chen Tian. But the newcomers under him had been anxiously waiting for the so-called good drama their boss mentioned. Growing increasingly impatient, suddenly, they heard that a promising script originally meant for them was passed over when Qing Jiaxu left without even discussing it. In the entertainment industry, catching trends is key to going viral. If you miss the wave, you'll likely miss your chance at stardom. Finally, when Qing Jiaxu tried to leave early again to take care of Chen Tian, the newcomers banded together to confront him. Since when does a boss like me have to put up with your attitudes? Qing Jiaxu's face turned cold as he put on a full display of his authority. You're signed under me. If there's a drama, I'll give it to you. If not, just stay put. Do you really think you're so popular that others are begging for you to act? Don't make me laugh. You're rookies with zero exposure. I can make you stars if I want, or freeze you out with just a word. You should be grateful for how I'm treating you now. Yet here you are making demands. I'm being too generous with you. After his grand boss act, Qing Jiaxu ignored the furious young faces before him and walked away. As I leisurely watched the video sent by the company informant, I couldn't help but feel that fortune was truly favoring me just when I needed it most. I messaged Zhou He, the opportunity has arrived. Go tell them why Qing Jiaxu isn't signing the contract, then make sure to secure their signatures. No matter the compensation amount, I'll cover it for them. Come on, among these newcomers, there will be 2 breakout stars, 1 best actor, 1 best actress, and even one who becomes the most popular idol among young people in modern times. With so many treasures that Qing Jiaxu is letting go, I'd pay 5 times the compensation just to keep them firmly in my grasp. The next day, the newcomers swarmed to Qing Jiaxu to terminate their contracts. Qing Jiaxu was so furious that he demanded exorbitant compensation fees. Without any fuss, I had Zhou He pay the full amount. After resolving this long-pending matter, I finally felt a moment of relief. However, I knew all this was still far from enough. It couldn't compare to even a fraction of what Qing Jiaxu did to me in my past life. I need to find an opportunity to nail him down completely, leaving him no chance to make a comeback. What else do you want to do? Zhou He sat beside me, playing with my long hair draped over my shoulder. How about making Hengxing go bankrupt? I asked him with a smile. Although Hengxing Company was jointly founded by me and Qing Jiaxu, but now even having my name tied to his makes me sick to my stomach. Okay, Zhou He was as consistent as ever, agreeing to whatever I said. I loved this decadent ruler side of him the most. I cupped his face and planted a big kiss, smearing his face with saliva. Then I saw He sit up slightly straighter, sensing impending doom. I tried to flee, but he grabbed my ankle in an instant. He pulled me back from the couch, leaned down to kiss my forehead, and said pitifully, "I'm working for you now, but you haven't paid me any wages. Now, I'll take it myself. You shouldn't have any objections, right?" My exclamation was drowned in He's kiss. The night was truly so long. 10. I posted an invitation to this weekend's auction along with pictures of a sapphire jewelry set on social media. The caption read, "Determined to win." Just 1 minute after posting, I saw Chen Tian rushing to view it in the visitor records. I strongly suspect she might have set me as a special follow. Otherwise, why is it that every time I send a message, she's always the first to appear, reading what I send over and over again? The next second, I deleted this message. And Chen Tian's refresh count instantly skyrocketed. I knew it, she must be getting anxious. Chen Tian sees me as a thorn in her side. She wants to steal Qing Jiashu. She's eyeing my fiancé position, everything I have, she wants it all. So, at the auction venue, when someone sent me a video of Qing Jiashu escorting Chen Tian to a private room, the corner of my mouth lifted slightly. I had little interest in the previous auction items, but when that piece of jewelry came up, I perked up and directly bid 20 million. Soon someone followed, offering 21 million. No matter how much I bid afterward, the other party would only raise by 100,000, sticking to the minimum increment. I know, this is Chen Tian deliberately trying to disgust me. I wasn't angry at all. Instead, I kept bidding back and forth with Chen Tian, and soon the price reached 60 million. Chen Tian isn't a smart person, originally intending to disgust me. She only grew angrier as the bidding escalated. Eventually making a fierce bid of 65 million, I raised an eyebrow and silently put down my paddle. The company's liquid funds had long been withdrawn by me. The remaining assets, even combined, couldn't cover this amount. I'm curious to see how far Qing Jiashu would go for Chen Tian. I'll be watching. He looked at me with amusement, giving my palm a gentle squeeze. I chuckled softly and said to him, "What an exhilarating round of price hiking. Aren't you afraid it'll backfire?" He pinched my fingers again. "Why worry, you're here anyway. If I run short, you'll cover for me." I spoke with righteous confidence, yet he inexplicably found my words amusing, his lips curling upward against his will. I think he might have gone mad too. How else could a simple request for him to foot the bill make him this delighted? He and I left together, but shortly after, a familiar voice suddenly rang out behind us. "What are you doing?" Qing Jiashu's voice, barely containing his anger, came from behind us. I turned my head to look behind me, my eyes lighting up as I jogged towards Qing Jiashu, calling out affectionately, "Jiashu, why are you here too? Didn't you say the company's been really busy lately? Did you come alone? Why haven't you been coming home recently?" Qing Jiashu was momentarily stunned by my questions. He had been so focused on watching me get close to that he gritted his teeth in anger, rushing down without thinking to catch me red-handed. But things turned out unexpectedly for him. Instead of panicking, I excitedly ran over to him, firing off 3 or 4 questions in one breath. My overly natural and normal behavior snapped Qing Jiashu back to reality. His gaze fell on Chen Tian, who was slightly showing her pregnancy bump and about to come downstairs. His heart tightened, and he immediately reached out to hug me, pulling me into his embrace in an attempt to block my line of sight. "Meow meow, I miss you so much." Qing Jiashu's affectionate voice rang in my ears, making me sick to my stomach. I clenched my teeth tightly, overcoming my resistance towards Qing Jiashu, forcing myself not to push him away violently. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw he gripping his fists so tightly it seemed he might throw a punch any second. After my signal, he took several deep breaths before barely restraining himself. Meanwhile, I slowly reached out and stiffly wrapped my arms around Qing Jiashu's waist. Raising my head with moist eyes filled with a glimmer of hope, I asked, "Jiashu, will you come home for dinner tonight? It's been so long since we last had dinner together." Qing Jiashu's breath hitched, visibly moved by the expression on my face, and instinctively replied, "All right, I'll come home." As his words faded, a sudden scream erupted behind him. "Qing Jiashu, how dare you!" Qing Jiashu froze, and as we both turned around, we saw Chen Tian, her belly swollen, standing across from us with tears streaming down her face. "You're leaving. What will happen to me and our child? Didn't you promise to read a storybook to the baby in my womb tonight?" Qing Jiashu's body stiffened, instinctively looking down at me, meeting my disbelieving eyes. Jiaxu, what's going on? My body swayed unsteadily as I pinched my thigh hard, forcing tears to stream down my face. Didn't you say you'd taken care of her? Don't tell me, you've been with her all this time, have you been lying to me? I burst into tears, turned my head and ran away. Jiaxu anxiously tried to chase after me to explain, but Chen Tian suddenly plopped down onto the ground. Jiaxu's gaze wavered between me and Chen Tian for a while, but in the end, he didn't come after me. Instead, it was Zhou He who grabbed my hand at the doorway. With a cold expression, he wiped the tears from my face. Sensing his anger, I softly comforted him. It's almost over, really, please don't be angry. I stood on tiptoe to kiss him, but Zhou He dodged away. He glared at me and said coldly, I'll give you half a month more, if you still can't handle it. I'll take matters into my own hands. Okay. I nodded quickly in agreement. It won't take half a month, 10 days at most. Be good and wait a little longer, but for these next 10 days, don't come to the villa anymore. As soon as I finished speaking, Zhou He's face darkened completely. 11. When Jiaxu hurried home, it was already past 2 a.m. He still carried the familiar perfume scent of Chen Tian on him, likely having coaxed her to sleep before rushing back to find me. Meow meow, I love you, listen to me. Jiaxu pounded on the door while desperately explaining, it's not what you think. With her, it was just a drunken mistake. She threw herself at me. I have no feelings for her, just once, and she got pregnant with my child. Weren't you always afraid of having babies before? When the time comes, I'll keep that child. Give her some money to make her leave, okay? Jiaxu's voice trembled slightly as he turned the question on me. After all these years together, do you still not trust me? I listened to his illogical words from the room and let out a cold laugh. Jiaxu is the epitome of wanting to have his cake and eat it too, unwilling to let go of our years of emotional foundation, not wanting to lose my family's strong support, yet also reluctant to part with Chen Tian, the sweet talker who brings him endless excitement. He's a habitual liar, putting on a show of deep affection for his female companion while secretly turning around to flirt with others. Just like in my past life, he acted so devoted to me, with his heart and eyes full of me, yet that didn't stop him from carrying on a secret affair with Chen Tian, getting her pregnant, and ultimately scheming to torture me to death for her sake. Clenching my fists tightly, I asked him inside the room, Jiaxu, if you had to choose between me and Chen Tian, who would you pick? Of course I'd choose you, Jiaxu answered without hesitation, with absolute conviction. I'll only ever take one wife in this lifetime, and that's you. Meow meow, but we're not even married yet, and you already have a love child. I really can't accept this. I'll make her get an abortion. Jiaxu eagerly replied to me, if Meow Meow doesn't like it, then we won't keep it. Listen to that, so full of affection, such sweet-sounding lies. Who does he think he's fooling with this pile of deceitful nonsense? I opened the door and met Jiaxu's utterly delighted eyes. Meow meow, have you finally forgiven me? Holding the exorbitantly priced jewelry he had bid for, he eagerly placed it in my hands and said tenderly, I got this for you. Didn't you say you loved sapphires the most? I'll give you anything you want. Please don't be angry anymore, alright. I smiled at him and spoke into the phone. Did you hear that clearly? Stop pestering Jiaxu from now on. Jiaxu will only marry me, even if you're carrying his child and come knocking on our door. So what? Who do you think you are? Do you think the Qing family would ever acknowledge you? Who are you talking to on the phone? Jiaxu's voice trembled. I turned on speakerphone, and Chen Tian's heart-wrenching sobs came through from the other end. Just as Jiaxu was anxiously trying to speak, I hung up the phone. At the same moment, Jiaxu's phone rang. Chen Tian's calls were coming in like crazy. His body stiffened as he stood in the darkness, his face a mask of struggle and conflict. Meow meow. Jiaxu's voice was slightly hoarse as he glanced at the message Chen Tian had sent, his face turning pale. He wanted to grab my hand and asked hoarsely, Meow meow, you can't bear to let me go. You'll forgive me. She's pregnant now. I can't let anything happen to her. Wait for me to come back. I'll give you a proper explanation when I return. Jiaxu turned to leave, and I stood by the door, saying leisurely to him, Jiaxu, if you step out of this door today, let's call off our engagement. From then on, you go your way, and I'll go mine. Stop being so unreasonable. Jiaxu paused for just a moment, glanced back at me, and then continued walking out. I will marry you, but I can't let anything happen to Chen Tian. After all, she's carrying my child. Jiaxu righteously demanded my compromise. as if marrying me was some kind of favor he was bestowing. I played with the jewelry in my hand, standing by the door, and couldn't help but laugh out loud. At the same time, a pair of large hands reached from behind and wrapped around my waist. 12. Chen Tian was bold, but didn't dare to cause trouble at the Qing family's place. Instead, she directly came to my house with her big belly in full display. Qing Jiaxu rushed over and immediately came to check Chen Tian's condition, fearing that our family might have harmed her. Then the first thing he said was, "Uncle, Aunt, this is all my fault. You can hit me or scold me, but please don't lay a hand on Chen Tian. She's just a vulnerable pregnant mother who's done nothing wrong." Chen Tian's pale little face looked pitiful as she clutched Qing Jiaxu's sleeve, crying like a delicate pear blossom in the rain. "Jiaxu, Jiaxu." Qing Jiaxu also panicked, whispering as he held her in his arms to comfort her. When his gaze turned to me again, it couldn't help but carry a trace of resentment. "Meow meow, I'll marry you, but don't let your family make things difficult for her anymore." What a tragic pair of lovebirds. What a noble man standing tall to protect his beloved. If one wasn't a cheater and the other wasn't a mistress, I'd almost be tempted to give them a round of applause. At that moment, the door was pushed open as my mother walked in with Qing Jiaxu's father and stepmother. "Did you all hear that clearly? Your son already fathered a love child before even marrying my daughter." My mother's face was extremely grim, not even sparing a glance at Qing Jiaxu and the other person huddled together on the sofa. Her goal was crystal clear as she stared fixedly at Mr. Qing, who wore a dark expression, and said, "Since he's already disgusted our family to this extent, it's not like our family is desperate to cling to the Qing family. I think my daughter's marriage to Qing Jiaxu should be called off." Mr. Qing's expression grew even more somber, while Qing Jiaxu looked at me in disbelief. My mother continued, "All current collaborative projects with the Qing family will be withdrawn, and there will be no future cooperation. Mr. Qing, please take your precious son and his mistress away. Don't dirty my home." I calmly sat aside drinking tea without saying a word, just maintaining the perfect victim demeanor while my family fought my battles felt incredibly satisfying. "Who else would marry you if not me?" Qing Jiaxu asked me with a frown. As he tried to speak further, old Master Qing stepped forward and delivered a resounding slap across his face. "You disgrace." The sharp slap echoed through the living room. When old Master Qing raised his hand again, my father coldly interjected, "Director Qing, my home isn't your family discipline ground. Take these two pieces of trash away." What an ill omen. My dad meant to say, "Stop pretending. Take these two things and get out of my house right now, or don't blame me for being rude." My mom deeply agreed, nodded, and sat beside me patting my hand. My eyes slightly reddened. Such wonderful parents, who loved me so much, were lost in my previous life because I foolishly trusted that scoundrel Qing Jiaxu, leading to our family's bankruptcy and their fatal car accident. Fortunately, heaven gave me a second chance to stand by their side and protect them properly this time. I pressed my face against my mother's arm, and she thought I was sad, quickly hugging me. "I'm not. I never intended to marry her." Qing Jiaxu, momentarily sobered by the beating, hurriedly looked at me and tried to move in my direction to grab my leg. "Meow meow. We've known each other for over 20 years, you should know this. Since childhood, you're the only one I've ever considered as my wife. I love you. I would only marry you." "Chen Tian, she's innocent. She's just a poor woman carrying my child. You're usually so kind. Why can't you tolerate her this time?" Even now, he still wants to quibble, trying to use my past love and pity for him to force me to accept Chen Tian. I let out a cold laugh and was about to curse at him when suddenly a tall figure rushed in through the door. It was Zhou He. Without a word, he charged forward and delivered a fierce punch right to Qing Jiaxu's face. "Who gave you the audacity?" Zhou He sneered, his expression fierce. He beat Qing Jiaxu with much more vigor than Chang's father ever did. "Don't you dare say you love Meow Meow with that filthy mouth of yours. Try saying one more word about marrying her and see what happens." Zhou He delivered a brutal kick to Qing Jiaxu's groin. "You're two-timing and still dreaming of having both. Look at yourself. Do you even deserve it? I wouldn't let you lick my Meow Meow's shoes. You're that disgusting." Chen Tian screamed and rushed to stop Zhou He, but accidentally tripped and fell onto the sofa, clutching her stomach and crying. Qing Jiaxu's eyes were bloodshot as he rushed forward to hug Chen Tian, glaring fiercely at me and Zhou He, saying, "Fine, calling off the engagement, is it? Alright, but it's me breaking up with you. You're so malicious that you can't even accept my child. I could never accept you as my wife either." Chang's father cursed him as a disgrace and moved to hit him, but Qing Jiashu slapped his hand away coldly, saying, "What the hell have you ever done for me since I was a kid? Now you think you can discipline me just because you're the sperm donor? Are you out of your mind? If anything happens to her or the baby in her belly today, I won't let any of you off." With reddened eyes, Qing Jiashu spat out his threat before hurriedly carrying Chen Tian away. 13. Qing Jiashu seems to have developed a grudge against us. After returning to Star Company, he started working diligently. When promising newcomers left, he poached newly famous young artists from other companies. He frequently takes assigned artists to cocktail parties and banquets, spreading rumors about our company, and has already sabotaged several of our collaborations. He smugly sent me these messages, asking, regretting it now. I didn't reply to him, just thought for a moment and sold my 30% stake in Star Corporation. Qing Jiashu was so angry he gritted his teeth, then messaged me again, meow meow. "Do you really hate me this much?" This time I replied, sending him a photo of his father humbly bringing bags of gifts to my house to apologize. How disgusting, like a dog. That's how Qing Jiashu described his own father. He didn't know that Mr. Chang's father didn't come to beg for continued cooperation with our family. Mr. Chang's father came humbly bearing gifts solely for his good-for-nothing son, hoping we'd forgive his mistakes. He endured my family's sarcastic remarks, just wishing we wouldn't hold Qing Jiashu accountable. Yet Qing Jiashu's evaluation of him was that his father seemed like a disgusting dog. After seeing this reply, I blocked Qing Jiashu because I realized he was beyond redemption. The filming of Half Pool of Splendor in Chang'an began, using those newcomers who defected from Qing Jiashu's company. When Zhou He and I took them to the opening ceremony, Qing Jiashu watched clearly from the neighboring crew and smashed a phone in anger. "Just wait and see. Those worthless nobodies without a single ripple will face my invested drama and lose everything." Qing Jiashu deliberately stopped me and spoke to me coldly. Zhou He stepped forward to separate us, while I smiled and retorted, "You signed a gamble agreement and took out a huge loan just to compete with me. I still have scripts for 5 dramas in hand. What do you have? A pile of debts and a child." Qing Jiashu trembled with rage and tried to approach, but Zhou He, expressionless, swiftly swept his legs and followed with a back throw, slamming him hard onto the ground before coldly stating, "Don't come any closer, you're disgusting." Zhou He and I walked away hand in hand, oblivious to Qing Jiashu's frenzied gaze. He frantically snatched many scripts from me at ultra-low prices, forcing his artists to film day and night, appear on variety shows, and take on commercials. This holiday season, he has several films ready to release, aiming to crush me when Chang'an's Half Pool Blossoms premieres. Qing Jiashu planned everything perfectly, but unfortunately, none of the shows he was so confident about could be aired. Just before the premiere, the lead actor's scandal broke out. With the lead actor imprisoned, the show couldn't air, and there was no money to salvage it. Qing Jiashu lived up to his own words, losing everything. In the end, he could only file for bankruptcy, carrying Chen Tian with her big belly. They hid everywhere to evade debt collectors. Meanwhile, I made a fortune from Half a Pool of Splendor in Chang'an. Laughing so hard I rolled around on the bed. Zhou He stood by, watching me with a smile so warm it made me blush. Shyly, I hid under the blanket and told him to stop looking, but Zhou He just chuckled, smoothing my messy hair as he said, "I had a nightmare last night where you were living miserably. Seeing you happy now fills my heart with indescribable joy." My heart skipped a beat as Zhou He leaned on my shoulder and said to me, "My dear Meow Meow, I hope you'll stay this happy forever." My nose tingled with emotion as I replied, "Yes, my Zhou He too." 14. I never expected to run into Qing Jiashu and Chen Tian at the obstetrics and gynecology department. At that time, Qing Jiashu was unshaven, while Chen Tian remained largely unchanged, except her belly had grown larger and her figure had become somewhat fuller. We ran into each other at the prenatal checkup entrance, both momentarily stunned. Then Qing Jiashu noticed my visibly pregnant belly, nearly as big as Chen Tian's, and his face lit up with sudden realization. Overjoyed, he rushed over to ask, "Meow Meow, you're pregnant? Such a big belly." "It's mine, right? You were already pregnant before we broke up." Qing Jiashu's face was full of joy as he quickly walked toward me. Before he could take 2 steps, Zhou He, holding some documents, stood by my side and coldly stared at Qing Jiashu. "Sorry, your wife and child are over there." Zhou He pointed at Chen Tian, who looked displeased. Then Zhou He kissed my cheek and said with a smile, "This is my wife, and the baby in her belly is naturally mine." "Impossible, absolutely impossible." Qing Jiashu tore at his hair like a madman, staring fixedly at me. Meow meow, it shouldn't be like this, we should have been a happy, perfect family. Qingjiashu seemed driven to madness by the provocation, his eyes red as he asked me, just why, how did we end up in this situation? Joe, he stepped in front of me, sneering as he retorted, of course it was when you openly brought that woman while Meow Meow was sick, had her wear Meow Meow's clothes, and carried on your affair with her. Qingjiashu was as if struck by lightning, his lips trembling but unable to utter a single word. I couldn't be bothered with him, so I took Zhou He's hand and turned to leave. As Zhou He passed by Qingjiashu, he muttered under his breath, that look on your face is truly disgusting. Zhou He protected me as we left the hospital, cursing under his breath about bad luck. I quickly soothed him, let it go, you're about to be a father, we'll go to another hospital next time and not stoop to their level, okay, and he's the father of twin babies too. I held Zhou He's hand and gently guided it to rest on my belly. Zhou He's furrowed brows relaxed as he carefully helped me down the stairs. My pregnancy went very smoothly, with Zhou He bustling around me like a nanny almost every day. My mom said I shouldn't order him around like this. Before I could respond, Zhou He jumped in earnestly, Mom, I'm doing this willingly, don't scold Meow Meow. It left my mom utterly speechless. Later, I successfully gave birth to a pair of twins, one boy and one girl. While recovering from childbirth, I was scrolling through my social media feed and accidentally saw Qingjiashu in someone else's screenshot. He was wearing a psychiatric hospital gown, sitting dazedly in a corner. I went over to ask and learned the whole story. It turned out that ever since the day we met, Qingjiashu had been in a slump, unwilling to accept reality. Chen Tian was pregnant, but the family had no money, and Qingjiashu refused to turn to his father for help, so he just stayed at home doing nothing. Seeing him in such a wretched state, Chen Tian simply sold her beloved motorcycle, intending to use the money for an abortion, which Qingjiashu discovered. Like a madman, he killed Chen Tian in that shabby little rented room, then tremblingly called Cheng's father. Cheng's father was furious but helpless. In the end, somehow he managed to obtain a mental illness certificate for him, evading punishment and being sent to a psychiatric hospital, where he might never be able to leave for the rest of his life. I heard that Qingjiashu wasn't originally insane, but now he's truly gone mad, ranting and raving every day, demanding to see me. Every night he tries to escape, gets caught after being beaten, and is forcibly strapped to the bed before he can fall asleep. Cheng's father still hopes to restore his sanity and has doctors administer electrotherapy to him, %. At the end, my friend sighed and said, how tragic, he got what he deserved. I replied, Story 2. In my previous life, my younger sister was adopted by a wealthy man, and I was taken home as a child bride. Later, my younger sister jumped off a tall building. While I blossomed out of the darkness, my younger sister smiled and said, elder sister, if it were you, you definitely wouldn't have lived your life so miserably, right? Reborn in a new life, my younger sister and I exchanged our lives. I am the shining sun in the daytime, and my younger sister is the evil spirit crawling in the dark night. We never looked back even once and moved forward alternately. 1. I was reborn on the day when my younger sister was adopted at the age of 5. This time, my clever and lively younger sister behaved in a very unmannered way. She even shouted that she was going to be rich, which made Mrs. Shen frown. Instead, she chose me, who was quiet and composed. My younger sister and I exchanged a glance. I saw the sly smile in her eyes, and I knew that my younger sister was also reborn. My younger sister and I are fraternal twins. In the previous life, my younger sister was favored by the Shen family. The Shen family is a wealthy family in Guangqing. When my younger sister left, she looked at me with her big eyes and said, elder sister, I will come to find you. But later I never saw my younger sister again. As for me, I was adopted by an ordinary family, because their son was mentally disabled. They wanted to raise me so that I could marry their son in the future. I grew up being beaten and scolded. I studied desperately and told them that I would achieve great success and bring them more benefits. Amidst bullying and humiliation, I was admitted to a top university and then passed the civil service examination. My younger sister, who had entered the wealthy family, became infamous and jumped off a tall building. Before she died, my younger sister sent me a message, I'm so unwilling. If it were elder sister who was adopted by the Shen family, she definitely wouldn't have ended up like this. 2 minutes later, 5 million yuan was added to my bank card. That was the inheritance my younger sister transferred to me. Unfortunately, before I could enjoy the inheritance left by my younger sister, a few days later, the stupid son of my adoptive parents rushed out and stabbed me to death. When I regained consciousness, I was back at the age of 5, too. I went to the Shin family and changed my name to Shinwandi. I had my own room, parents, and a brother named Shin Qianqian. On the first day of having a meal in the Shin family, I accidentally dropped and broke a bowl. I was already mentally prepared to be beaten. Neither the expected beating nor scolding came. Instead, I received concern, asking if I had cut my hand. For the first time, I knew that it was possible to break a bowl without being beaten. The new home had everything. My father was rarely at home, and my mother didn't care about me either. There were servants to do the housework, and nannies to play with me and Shin Qianqian. If it weren't for my younger sister's death reminding me, I would almost have indulged in this luxurious happiness. Shin Qianqian was in poor health. The fortune teller told Mr. and Mrs. Shin to adopt a girl from the orphanage to be his younger sister, so that he would be healthy and everything would go smoothly in the future. It turned out that this was the reason why the Shin family adopted an orphan. Shin Qianqian was a man of few words and seemed a bit gloomy. I wasn't an outgoing person either, so we weren't familiar with each other. Strictly speaking, I was like an outsider living in the Shin family. However, I enjoyed the best of everything, and I was very grateful. After entering junior high school, Shin Qianqian's health had improved a lot, and his personality had also changed a bit. We were in the same school, but we were like strangers, and no one knew our relationship. I didn't lack anything, but I didn't have money. I went home for both accommodation and meals, and I didn't find a chance to go back to the town to see my younger sister. After entering high school, I realized that the malice I had encountered in this life was different from the malice I had experienced in the town in my previous life. The malice in junior high school was also different from that in high school. The malice encountered in this life was more arrogant, impenetrable, like the madness under the surging dark current. The common point was that it was all deadly. However, I finally had a chance to go and find my younger sister. 3. Don't think that just because you have good grades, Shin Qianqian will take a fancy to you, a bookworm like you. How could you possibly win his favor? Who are you pretending to be so high and mighty for? Who doesn't know that you're secretly flirting with Shin Qianqian? Bitch. Several girls blocked me in the toilet, pulled my hair, and warned me not to have any more contact with Shin Qianqian. I pulled back my hair and calmly stated, Shin Qianqian is my elder brother. We live under the same roof. They were stunned, although I also had the surname Shin Qianqian, and I really didn't look like siblings. I continued. I've always had good grades since I was a child. My parents love me very much. I don't want to be gossiped about and just want to study hard. That's why I pretended not to know my elder brother at school. My elder brother doesn't like people who bully others, and my parents like them even less. If you don't believe what I said, you can check for yourself. I walked out of the ladies' toilet unharmed. During the lunch break that day, however, I was called over by Shin Qianqian's lackey. Shin Qianqian asked me with a look of impatience, why did you tell others about the relationship between me and you? Because of your existence, I'm being bullied. Your admirers think that I like you. There was a playful glint in Shin Qianqian's eyes, and his expression was slightly mocking, as if he was saying, don't I like him? I looked straight into Shin Qianqian's eyes and said calmly, I also don't want the person I like to misunderstand. Shin Qianqian's expression changed slightly. And then he let out a soft laugh. The person you like, who is it? I looked serious and said firmly, Yun Zhijing. Shin Qianqian's expression became even uglier. At this moment, a soft laugh suddenly came from behind. What does Wandi like about me? I'm truly flattered, for Yun Zhijing is Shin Qianqian's friend. In the previous life, he was also the closest person to my younger sister. When I was being ostracized and isolated at school, Yun Zhijing appeared by my side. Just like the warm spring sun and the gentle summer evening breeze, I understood why my younger sister was so desperate that she jumped off the building in the end. My younger sister had a lively and straightforward personality and was also easy to open up to others. In other words, she was more likely to be deceived. When my younger sister died, she was the mistress kept by Yun Zhijing. The day before she jumped off the building was exactly the day when Yun Zhijing got married. They said that my younger sister had always been restless. After entering the Shin family, she was too ambitious and tried her best to please Mr. and Mrs. Shin. Later, she even had the audacity to flirt with young Master Shin. After being thrown out of the room by young Master Shin, the Shin family despised her extremely. Yet she still dreamed of marrying into a wealthy family and instead climbed into the bed of Shin Qianqian's childhood friend, Yun Zhijing. After being with Yun Zhijing for 3 years, she originally thought she could become his legitimate wife. However, her dream of entering a wealthy family was shattered again, so, unable to bear the stimulation, she jumped off the building. Those who play with others' true feelings should be prepared that one day they will be played with by others. Shen Qianqian's angry voice brought me back to my senses. How old are you? Do you know what it means to like someone? Study hard for me. If you dare to have a puppy love, I'll break your legs. Qianqian is so domineering. Don't scare our little Wandy. I secretly glanced at Yun Zhijing and blushed, and Shen Qianqian walked away with a sullen face. After I publicly revealed my relationship with Shen Qianqian didn't deny it. The malice and ostracism that surrounded me seemed to disappear. 5. After entering high school, I got my living expenses and lived in the school dormitory, gaining some freedom. One day, I asked for a day off and planned to go and find my younger sister. I found my younger sister in an alley near the county high school. She was holding an iron rod in her hand, there was blood on her face, and she was stepping on a boy's back, looking very unruly. Next to her, there were also 2 boys crouching with their heads in their hands. You're so imposing, Liang Zhaoxi. When my younger sister heard my voice, she was stunned for a moment, then she turned around, glared at me, and cursed viciously. Who the hell are you meddling in other people's business? Get lost. I stood there without saying a word. My younger sister kicked the man under her and told them to get lost. Then she sat on the ground, took out a cigarette and put it in her mouth, and said in a sarcastic tone, "Oh, isn't this my elder sister who entered a rich family? Why did you remember your poor younger sister? Are you here to give me money? Hand it over." I looked at the 3 people who left and couldn't help clenching my fists. Those 3 people were exactly the ones who had bullied me in high school. During my middle school days, those girls whose breasts developed a bit better were called cows, and those who were a bit fatter were called tanks. The shameful nickname cow was given to me by these people and accompanied me throughout my high school years. Seeing that I didn't say anything, my younger sister glared at me impatiently. Can't you understand human language? If you don't have money, get lost. I walked over, took the cigarette out of her mouth and threw it away. Then I took out the living expenses I had saved in my pocket, kept a little for myself, and gave the rest to my younger sister. My younger sister quickly took the money. At least you have some conscience. Come and see me often in the future. Don't come if you don't bring money. However, I rushed over and hugged my younger sister, and asked her in a low voice, have you entered high school? Didn't you want to be a star? Go and take the art examination, study hard in high school. The requirements for the cultural courses aren't high. Whatever you want to learn, I have the money and I'll pay for you. I felt my younger sister's body stiffen. Then she also said in a low voice, I've entered, the stupid guy is dead, so I have to support the family. If they don't let me go to school, I'll make a scene. What to learn? I haven't learned anything. With my conditions, I will definitely become a shining big star. The stupid guy is dead. I looked at my younger sister in disbelief. My younger sister casually flicked her hair. He died in an accident. 6. Alright, now that you've given me the money, leave quickly and don't bother me. My younger sister suddenly pushed me away, looking very impatient. I still wanted to ask her about her previous life, but she had already walked away with the iron rod in her hand. However, a cold voice suddenly came from behind me. It was Shen Qianqian. You went through all this trouble just to meet such a thing. I turned around, feeling icy all over. Shen Qianqian actually followed me. I showed an embarrassed expression and lowered my head. She is my younger sister. Your younger sister only regards you as a free cash machine. Shen Wandy, are you really that useless? You even gave her your living expenses. Shen Qianqian said with an arrogant look. It's only Tuesday today. Don't expect me to help you out. Me, I'm on a diet. Shen Qianqian looked at me and seemed to be amused by my words. I turned around and walked outside, waiting for the shuttle bus to go back to school. Shen Qianqian stood beside me. I couldn't help asking, brother, were you worried about me? Shen Qianqian let out a cold snort. I just came to see if you were doing something that would betray the Shen family behind my back. You eat and live in our house. If you dare to embarrass us, I won't let you off easily. I raised my face and smiled sincerely. Brother, if you were worried about me, just admit it. There's nothing embarrassing about an elder brother worrying about his younger sister. Suddenly, Shen Qianqian's ears turned red. He pursed his lips and said nothing, but I felt nothing in my heart. My younger sister was right. If we exchanged our lives, we would both live very wonderful lives. She could fight back on the spot against all the humiliation, pick up the iron rod and smash it with all her might. and also make her adoptive parents unable to control her. And I could also become someone that the Shin family would look at with new eyes and make everyone like me. After all, we will meet again at the top. 7. After the evening self-study class ended on Thursday, Shin Qianqian and Yun Zhijing came to find me and insisted on having a late-night snack. As a result, I didn't get a chance to go out alone. Actually, that day was my and my younger sister's birthday. After returning to the dormitory, the school gate was already locked. I climbed over the wall with great difficulty and unfortunately met Yun Zhijing. Yun Zhijing and I sat side by side on the school wall, and he looked at me with great interest. "It's so late. Where are you going by climbing over the wall?" I stammered and couldn't say anything. Yun Zhijing leaned over and said in an extremely ambiguous way, "You knew I was here, so you came to have a tryst with me. It's a pity that your elder brother will come out soon. How about I take you away first and we go have some fun?" I blushed and said in a low voice, "I want to buy that thing." As soon as I said buy that thing, Yun Zhijing understood. He coughed awkwardly and then said, "Then aren't you feeling uncomfortable now? I'll buy it for you." I shook my head. "No need, I'll buy it myself." As I was about to jump down, Yun Zhijing jumped down first and opened his arms to me. "Come down, I'll catch you." I jumped down and landed in a stable embrace. Yun Zhijing pulled me and walked away. "Hurry up, don't let your elder brother find out. He's been very jealous recently and always targets me." I was pulled along by Yun Zhijing and passed by a girl standing at the school gate. She was holding a bunch of white camellias in her hand. We didn't even look at each other. After buying the things, I went to a cake shop and bought 2 small cakes. I paid for them before Yun Zhijing could and then entered a bookstore next to it. Yun Zhijing shook his head. "What kind of normal person goes to a bookstore when they go out to play? Little Wandy, you really don't know how to be romantic." I took out a small cake, scooped a spoonful and brought it to Yun Zhijing's mouth. He was stunned for a moment, then smiled and opened his mouth to eat the cake I fed him. "It's really sweet." I put the other small cake on the bookshelf, then pulled Yun Zhijing and ran back. When we reached the school gate, there was a bunch of white camellias on the ground. I squatted down and picked them up. At the same time, a girl took a small cake from a certain shelf in the bookstore. 8. During the 3 years of high school, I studied desperately and made use of all the resources I could. After all, I was in an international middle school, and there was no shortage of outstanding people around me. These would all be my connections in the future. I had to be excellent enough to make others look at me with new eyes. After the college entrance examination ended, Yun Zhijing confessed his love to me amidst the hustle and bustle. As soon as I turned around, I met Shin Qianqian's obscure gaze. He was also looking at me. I had seen this kind of gaze countless times on him in the past 2 years. I smiled sweetly and walked towards Yun Zhijing. "Hello, my boyfriend." That night, Shin Qianqian pinned me against the wall of my room. With red eyes, he questioned me. "What's so good about Yun Zhijing? Do you really like him that much? I don't believe that you don't understand my feelings. Have you forgotten who marked the key points for you day and night and helped you predict the exam questions? In the previous life, did my younger sister barge into her room and confess to him like this? What did he say? Are you that cheap? Asking you to call me big brother isn't enough. Do you also want to be the mistress of the Shin family? Remember your place. You're nothing but a dog raised by the Shin family." I tilted my head and looked at Shin Qianqian, confused yet firm. "But you're my big brother. Mom and Dad raised me and painstakingly cultivated me. How could I do something so ungrateful?" There was a hidden glimmer in Shin Qianqian's eyes as he said in a low voice, "I'll figure something out with Mom and Dad. They like you a lot too." "I'm sorry, big brother. You're a very important family member to me. The person I like has always been Yun Zhijing." 9. In this life, I became the top scorer in the science category of the provincial college entrance examination. Shin Qianqian also did very well in the exam. Unfortunately, it seemed that all the limelight was stolen by me. The Shin family held a celebration banquet for our further studies. Everyone was extremely curious about me. I behaved in a well-behaved, sensible, and composed manner, bringing a lot of face to the Shin family. Quite a few people came with the intention of arranging a marriage, but Mr. and Mrs. Shin tactfully declined. The Yun family immediately declared their sovereignty, saying that Yun Zhijing and I were already together. Others smiled and congratulated Mr. and Mrs. Shin, saying that the Yun and Shin families had always been on good terms, and now with this added kinship, others might as well just settle for the scraps. I smiled and looked at Yun Zhijing, meeting his tender and affectionate eyes. I thought of a sentence my younger sister had said. She said, "Elder sister, I really loved him, when being deliberately flirted with and boldly confessed to by a God's favored one like Shen Qianqian, and then being humiliated and heartbroken, Yun Zhijing was like a ray of light shining into her heart. He was always so gentle and meticulous, with a pair of charming peach blossom eyes. He seemed affectionate even when looking at a dog. He was also extremely patient, but after 3 years of dating, he smiled and said he was bored, gave my younger sister a bank card, and asked her to leave. After Yun Zhijing got married, the Shen family felt that they had raised my younger sister for so long without getting anything in return. They felt they had suffered a loss, so they made her accompany a difficult client. That client was a 60-year-old man with a tendency to abuse. My younger sister told me this with a smile. She said that in her 20s, there wasn't a single person around her who treated her sincerely. And no one had noticed that since junior high school, she had always done things to hurt herself, again and again, until she was 24 years old. In these past few years, during festivals, we would meet in a certain bookstore. My younger sister would wear a baseball cap and a mask. We would stand back to back and tell each other bit by bit about the years we had missed in each other's lives, because other people's parents said that festivals were times for family reunions. So in this life, we would try to meet on every festival. 10. I went to Jing City and entered University A, the same university as Shen Qianqian. Yun Zhijing also went to Jing City, but not to the same university as us. Yun Zhijing and I were like all campus couples, holding hands, hugging, and kissing. He would always arrange every date well to make me happy and create small surprises. He was called a model boyfriend by my roommates, and our relationship was very stable. My younger sister was also in Jing City. She barely managed to get into the film academy. With her superior appearance, fearless temperament, and love for acting, she became quite famous in the academy. On my birthday in the first semester of my sophomore year, Shen Qianqian and Yun Zhijing celebrated my birthday. My younger sister entered the wrong private room, was drunk and confused. When she saw Yun Zhijing, she rushed over and hugged him, crying. Shen Qianqian looked like he was watching a show. Yun Zhijing was scared. He was explaining to me while trying to drive my drunk younger sister away, but my younger sister was crying so sincerely, accusing Yun Zhijing of being a heartbreaker. She was so heartbroken that even Yun Zhijing was dazed. Shen Qianqian smiled with his lips curled. Yun Zhijing, did you incur some romantic debts outside behind Wandi's back? There were other people in the private room at this time. They were all looking at Yun Zhijing. Some people made jokes, saying that she must have mistaken him for someone else. Yun Zhijing immediately came to his senses and looked at me nervously. Absolutely not. I swear, I really don't know her. I walked over, stared at my younger sister for a while, and then suddenly said, she's my younger sister. I told you about her. So, there was one more person celebrating the birthday. Soon, someone came to look for my younger sister and took her away. It turned out that my younger sister was also celebrating her birthday next door. On this day, my younger sister and I finally added each other as friends openly, and in order to annoy Shen Qianqian, Yun Zhijing also wanted to matchmake Shen Qianqian and my younger sister. My younger sister still had that unruly look, full of personality. Flamboyant and enthusiastic, I gave her a bank card, a not small amount of money rewarded by the school and the city when the exam results came out. My younger sister still took it without hesitation. In her sophomore year, my younger sister already had acting opportunities. In her junior year, my younger sister returned the money I gave her, with interest. She played the second female lead in a low-budget online drama and became popular. I took this money and registered a public relations company, but early the next morning, I received a message from Shen Qianqian, Qianyuan Hotel, room 1202, your boyfriend got lost there. 11. When I saw this message, I smiled and then angrily called Shen Qianqian. Shen Qianqian, what nonsense are you talking about? What are you going crazy about again? Shen Qianqian, me going crazy? Shen Wandi, be reasonable. Okay, why are you always so mean to me? You're so nice to your younger sister who only asks you for money, and you're so nice to your cheating boyfriend. You take out all your anger on me, right? Why I treat you like this, you know in your heart. I angrily hung up the phone and then rushed to the hotel Shen Qianqian told me about. As soon as I arrived, Shen Qianqian was actually waiting for me at the hotel entrance. I knew you'd come. Come on, big brother will take you up. Shen Qianqian forcefully took my hand, took the elevator to suite 1202, and then knocked on the door, saying at the door, Yun Zhijing, open the door. Shinqianqian's voice even sounded a bit elated. I know you're in there. Open the door quickly. Ever since I rejected Shinqianqian, it was as if he had flipped some incredible switch and no longer had the demeanor of the aloof campus heartthrob he used to be. The door was pushed open with a shove. I stood at the door and saw Yun Zhijing looking half asleep when he met my eyes. He suddenly woke up. There was only Yun Zhijing left in the room. Messy clothes were scattered all over the floor. There was also evidence of last night's debauchery in the trash can. The room was filled with the smell of love making. I swayed, and Yun Zhijing reached out to support my waist and hugged me. Wandy, listen to me explain. My tears fell in big drops as I choked and asked Yun Zhijing, who is that person? After a long silence, I shouted in collapse, who is it? Tell me. Yun Zhijing opened his mouth with difficulty. Liang Zhaoxi, my younger sister. 12, Yun Zhijing. We're breaking up. Yun Zhijing suddenly stood up. No, Shinqianqian, put your clothes on first. I turned my face away. This isn't a negotiation. This is a notice. You didn't negotiate with me when you slept with someone else. After a pause, I added, be nice to my sister. I ran out, and Shinqianqian chased after me. I shook off his hand. I want to be alone. Don't bother me. You're my younger sister. If I don't watch over you, what if something happens to you? Don't think I don't know what you're up to. You men are all the same. Wronged. I'm not Yun Zhijing. You should regret not choosing me back then. Right. I looked at Shinqianqian deeply. I don't regret it. Shinqianqian was really angry with me. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said, fine, very good, Shinwandi, remember what you said. You'd better never regret it in this life. Finally. I got rid of Shinqianqian. I took out my phone and called my younger sister. My younger sister and I huddled in a small, shabby rental house. Without heating, we were shivering. We hugged each other, crying and laughing, and drinking. Elder sister, I will definitely become a shining big star. Yeah, you definitely will. Elder sister, what's your dream? I don't have a dream. My dream and goal in these 2 lives is to earn a lot of money. Buy a big house, save a lot of money. So that we can live a good life, not be bullied, and not have to look at other people's faces. I studied computer science and technology. With money, I opened a public relations company. Everything seemed to say that I was a person who loved money like my life. My younger sister was obviously unhappy. I sighed and thought for a while. I like painting. When I don't lack money in the future, I'll study painting. My younger sister raised her beer and clinked glasses with me. Cheers to a beautiful future and tomorrow. 13, Shinqianqian started to ignore me. Returning to his aloof and arrogant appearance, Yun Zhijing still couldn't accept the fact that we had broken up. He came to the school to look for me several times, explaining to me that he wasn't himself that day and was obviously drugged. He said that day he received a message from a friend that my younger sister was being harassed at a drinking party and was taken to a hotel. She might be in trouble. So he went there. Who knew what would happen later? I felt it was necessary to have a good talk with Yun Zhijing, so I asked him out. In the coffee shop, I calmly said to Yun Zhijing, I don't want to mention the past, let's part amicably, don't make it so ugly. Okay. There was anger in Yun Zhijing's eyes. It seemed that his patience had finally run out. He said coldly, you really have to be like this, don't you? I've always been like this, haven't I? Yun Zhijing sneered. Shinwandi, I've wanted to say this for a long time, you're really boring. Sometimes I wonder, you've been saying you've loved me for so many years. Do you really know what it means to love someone? I'm really curious. Are you like this in bed too? I bit my lip, my body trembling slightly with anger. I splashed a cup of coffee in Yun Zhijing's face and glared at him. He took out a wet wipe and slowly wiped the coffee stains off his face. His expression became even more unpleasant, in a way. You're really not as interesting as your sister. You and Shinqianqian are quite a match. A cold voice came. Something you don't want. Do you think I'll want it? I'm not that picky. Thank you. Shinqianqian was behind me. He pushed his gold-rimmed glasses. With his refined and elite look, he looked at me and curled his lips. Look at her. In bed, she must be as dull as a dead fish. My eyes were blood red. I looked at Shinqianqian in disbelief. Shinqianqian lowered his head and whispered in my ear softly, Sister, don't look at me like that. You have no attraction for me now. These 2 people, because of me, had a falling out. Now, because of me, they made up. How ridiculous. 14, I maintained my usual pride, scolded them for being shameless, holding back my anger, and then ran away. In fact, after leaving the coffee shop, I took a taxi and went to my younger sister's new rental house. She had cooked a meal and was waiting for me. Without Shin Qianqian and Yun Zhijing in my life, I didn't become depressed. Instead, I became more and more positive and lived a very fulfilling life every day. Since I was in the same school as Shin Qianqian, we sometimes ran into each other. He was arrogant and cold, and I was polite and distant. People who knew us well asked why the two of us had become so tense. I said it was because I had broken up with Yun Zhijing and Shin Qianqian, and Yun Zhijing were childhood friends, so I was avoiding suspicion. As for the reason for the breakup, neither of us revealed it, but I knew that because of Shin Qianqian's change, some people guessed that I had done something to sorry Yun Zhijing. However, in a top-tier institution, everyone has their own plans and paces. After the matter passed, no one mentioned these gossips anymore. As a study-obsessed person myself, I basically passed all the certificates I could during my time at school and participated in all the club activities I could. In University A, I was definitely a well-known figure. Also, because I had made a lot of connections. Before I graduated, many people from big companies came to ask me to work for them, with good treatment. By the first semester of my senior year, I had already received my desired job offer. I was destined to stay here, while Shin Qianqian and Yun Zhijing were going back to Guangzhou to inherit their family businesses. In these past few years, I also kept in touch with Mr. and Mrs. Shen. After I turned 18, I stopped asking them for living expenses. I didn't touch the gifts they gave me that I couldn't refuse. During festivals, I would also buy them gifts. I had scholarships and could earn money myself. Mr. Shen also said that after I graduated, I could go to the Shen family's company for an internship. The good popularity I had accumulated in high school also brought them a lot of convenience. Everyone who knew me praised me without exception, in every aspect. As their adopted daughter, I had brought them great glory. Even when they learned that I had broken up with Yun Zhijing and Shin Qianqian had distanced himself from me because of this, they called me and said that no matter what, I would always be their daughter, directly saying that Shin Qianqian was being childish, presumably because he was scolded by his parents. Shin Qianqian sent me a message, "Come to the library." I walked over. Shin Qianqian still had that arrogant and cold look, snitching, "You're really resourceful. You've even won over my parents." I smiled and looked at Shin Qianqian. "Big brother, no matter how much you dislike me, we're the kind of relationship where even if we break up, we still go home together for a reunion dinner." This was the first time that my eyes were filled with blatant provocation. Shin Qianqian also curled his lips into a smile. "Sister, you look much more interesting like this than before. Does big brother like it again?" "Unfortunately, I only see you as a big brother, because I love mom and dad, and I love big brother." Shin Qianqian pinched my wrist, and there was an undercurrent in his eyes. "Don't tell me that you've always liked me. And you were with Yun Zhijing just because you thought the sibling relationship was more lasting than the lover relationship." I forcefully pulled my hand back and didn't answer Shin Qianqian's question, trying to cover up. I didn't care what Shin Qianqian was feeling at the moment. I achieved my goal and left gracefully. 15. A constant stream of isomerism began to surround Shin Qianqian. Every time he got a new girlfriend, he would ask me out for a meal, as if there was a sense of ceremony like introducing the other person to his relatives. Shin Qianqian and I became siblings with a seemingly friendly relationship on the surface. My younger sister signed with an agency, with both beauty and acting skills. She became a little popular and had quite a few fans. Recently, it was rumored that she was going to join the cast of an S+ big production drama, playing the second female lead, a very likable and fan-attracting role. Once this drama aired, she would rise in status in the entertainment industry. It was also at this time that dark secrets about my younger sister were exposed. She was said to have been a delinquent girl since childhood, bullying classmates, leeching off her elder sister, being jealous that her own sister was adopted by a wealthy family. Not only did she constantly ask her sister for money, but she also stole her sister's boyfriend. My relationship with Yun Zhijing was also dug up. My younger sister seemed to be my opposite. Countless beautiful words were piled on me, as if creating a goddess. In contrast, my younger sister was set off as being good for nothing. Netizens said that the two sisters were like a bright moon in the sky and a rat in the gutter, and what attracted the most attention from the public was the bed photos of my younger sister and Yun Zhijing. Although my younger sister's face couldn't be clearly seen, everyone was indignant and firmly believed that the woman was Liang Jiaxi. The photos of Shin Qianqian and me catching Yun Zhijing in the hotel were very clear. This was already conclusive evidence. people who knew me and Yun Zijing kept coming forward to reveal secrets, saying that the two of us were originally a perfect couple, but we broke up after this incident. Some people also said that Yun Zijing was set up. In short, my younger sister became the mistress who was jealous of her sister and was shouted at and attacked by everyone. The internet was in an uproar. My younger sister stood up and made a positive response. She said that she had never had any relationship with her sister's ex-boyfriend and even showed her schedule on the day Yun Zijing cheated. On that day, my younger sister and her manager met with clients until very late, drank until they had gastric bleeding, and there were medical records. Photos. Even on that day, she posted a photo of herself getting in 4 drip, which was only visible to her fans. She was in the hospital the whole night. How could she have been having an affair with Yun Zijing in the hotel? While my younger sister was clarifying, she also sent out lawyers' letters and sued all those who spread rumors. At the same time, I also stood up. I admitted that I broke up with Yun Zijing because he cheated, but the person he cheated with was not Liang Jiaoxi. Even on the morning when we caught him, I received a call from my younger sister and went to the hospital to pick her up and take her home. As for leeching off, my status as the top scorer in the college entrance examination gave me hundreds of thousands of yuan in rewards. I had scholarships and could also earn money from part-time jobs. I didn't need the money, since I didn't want my younger sister to suffer. I gave her the money, but after my younger sister made money from filming, she gave all of it to me without keeping a single cent. So where was the leeching off? The clear evidence and the reversal slapped the haters in the face and also left Yun Zijing stunned. After the breakup, he looked for my younger sister several times, but my younger sister refused to meet him, so he released such revelations, trying to make my younger sister unable to survive in the entertainment industry. And then he could appear as a savior. He had always been so despicable and shameless. This incident instead made my younger sister more popular. Even regarding the matter of her bullying classmates, some people stood up to speak for her. Many girls said that during their middle school years, they were called nicknames like buck-toothed girl, tank, cow, fat pig, etc., and suffered all kinds of malice. It was my younger sister who stood up for them like a heroic woman. The so-called bullying of classmates was actually her helping the bullied classmates. Together with my younger sister's pitiful background, it was also dug up. She was beaten by her adoptive parents day and night, and the neighbors all knew about it. Now that she had money, she still didn't ignore her adoptive parents. What a kind-hearted girl. This continuous popularity and the touching truth made my younger sister completely break out of the circle. Her popularity among the public was extremely good. The most popular thing was the CP of my younger sister and me, the top student elder sister and the underachiever younger sister. My younger sister posted a photo of us raising our glasses in her rental house, which was once regarded as a divine picture. Fan fiction about the two of us sprang up like mushrooms after rain. Only then did Shen Qianqian and Yun Zijing realize that the relationship between me and Liang Jiaoxi was really good. So good that it was beyond their expectations. They thought it was one-sided devotion, but it turned out to be a two-way relationship. 16. We graduated smoothly. Shen Qianqian came to the place where I lived and asked me to give up my job in Jing City and return to Guangqing to work in the Shen family's company. He even brought up Mr. and Mrs. Shen. I refused. Shen Wandi, after we go back, I'm going to get engaged to the daughter of the Hua family. If you come back to Guangqing, I won't get engaged. I almost couldn't help laughing. I stared at Shen Qianqian and said, "Congratulations, big brother. I will send you a congratulatory gift." "What do you mean? Do you think I'm joking with you? If you continue like this, we won't even be able to be a family anymore. If you don't come back, never come back to the Shen family. Guangqing is the place where you grew up. You've had more than 10 years of feelings here. You still have family here. What's the point of you being alone in Jing City?" "Shen Qianqian, where my younger sister is, that's where my home is." Shen Qianqian suddenly looked at me, then sneered and said, "Well, as expected, you're an ungrateful white-eyed wolf. You ate and used our family's resources. After taking advantage of everything and becoming independent, you want to get rid of us. Dream on." Shen Qianqian was completely angry. He pulled me into his arms and kissed me forcefully. I struggled and resisted desperately, but was held even tighter. I was stumbled and pressed onto the bed, unable to resist. Just then, the door opened from the outside. Liang Jiaoxi was stunned for a moment, then picked up a wine bottle and smashed it towards Shen Qianqian. I reached out to block it, preventing her from hitting Shin Qianqian's head. Liang Jiaxi forcefully pulled Shin Qianqian away and told him to get out. Shin Qianqian gave us a cold look, snorted, and walked away. As soon as he left, I took out my phone and called his mother. I cried heartbreakingly and said, "Mom, I'm sorry. In the future, I can't be the daughter of the Shin family anymore. I will work hard to make money and transfer all the money you spent on me over the years to you. In the future, if there's anything you need my help with and I can do it, I will definitely do my best. In my heart, you and Dad are still the parents I love. Thank you for your cultivation of me over the years." Then I cried and told them what Shin Qianqian had almost done to me. I also informed them that since high school, Big Brother seemed to have different feelings for me. That's why I wanted to take the college entrance examination to go to Jing City. I didn't expect that Big Brother still found out about my college entrance examination choices and also came here. The resources I got in the Shin family had brought them huge returns. Now many of their connections were made through me. I knew that they wouldn't break up with me, since it was Shin Qianqian who was wrong first and I made sure there was no fault on my part. They couldn't do anything to me. My younger sister said that she didn't hate the Shin family, let it be like this, but the revenge on Yun Zhijing was still going on. 17. My younger sister finally became a big star as she wished, and I also became a leader in the industry. I handed over the management of my public relations company to others. And it was also thriving. 1 year later, on the day Yun Zhijing was getting engaged to a daughter of a wealthy family in Guangqing, a woman with a 2 or 3-year-old boy rushed into the engagement ceremony and cried, "Yun Zhijing, you can't marry someone else, this is our son." The person from that night came back, and she had a child. As a former friend, how could I miss this opportunity? I immediately arranged for online trolls to spread the news and also took a video of the engagement scene. I put this touching drama of a family reunion on the internet, and it quickly became a hot topic. The rich second generation in Guangqing. Isn't this the guy who once tried to smear Goddess Chashi, rotten cucumber? He also wanted to destroy the relationship between Goddess Chashi and her sister. Fortunately, her sister dotes on her. The internet was abuzz with discussion. Liang Jiaxi secretly posted a Weibo about making smashed cucumber. I commented below, "Focus on filming well, I'll make you spare ribs tonight." Netizens immediately said, "So sweet." Shenwandi tagged Liang Jiaxi, "Sister, I want some too, I'm Chaxi's wife." We were extremely lively here, while over at Yun Zhijing's side, it was in chaos. The family of his fiancée was furious and immediately called off the engagement. The Yun family was also extremely disappointed in this son. That night, Shin Qianqian called. Without answering, I already knew who was on the other end. "Shenwandi, you two are teaming up to play me." Yun Zhijing roared in collapse. "Why, there's no reason, I'm just bad, and besides, the person who did something wrong is clearly you. No one forced you to sleep with someone else, right?" Yun Zhijing was so angry on the other end of the phone that he seemed to be about to vomit blood. There was also a little boy beside him calling Dad. My younger sister, who had just finished work, took the phone and laughed heartily. "Let me tell you why. Because my sister loves me the most." Yun Zhijing, Shin Qianqian, you both treated me badly in the previous life, bullied me, so, we sisters are here for revenge. There was suddenly silence on the other end. It seemed that the place had changed. And the person answering the phone had also changed. Shenwandi, Shin Qianqian's voice was very calm, but if you listened carefully, you could still hear a trace of trembling. I responded with an and said, "Speak, Shin Qianqian, did you never like me? Have you been playing with me all this time?" Unfortunately, before I could enjoy the inheritance left by my younger sister, a few days later, the stupid son of my adoptive parents rushed out and stabbed me to death. On the other end, the breathing stopped. I put the phone on speaker and hooked my finger at Liang Jiaxi. Liang Jiaxi leaned over and said in a sarcastic tone, "Having those kinds of thoughts about your own sister, you're really despicable." Shin Qianqian. The phone was hung up. My younger sister and I laughed until we were in stitches. As we laughed, her tears came out. 18. Shin Qianqian and Yun Zhijing still had quite a few opponents. After the incident in the Yun family, some people spread rumors, saying that Shin Qianqian had actually been secretly in love with Yun Zhijing all along, otherwise, he wouldn't have followed him to Jing City, and after Yun Zhijing and I broke up, he also broke off relations with me. The rumors were spread vividly, the reputations of these two people were completely ruined, and the company's performance was also much worse than before. Yun Zhijing also had an illegitimate child. Which good family daughter would be willing to marry them? 5 years after graduation, I resigned from the company and switched to doing self-media. I opened my own studio, wrote scripts, and shot short dramas. Liang Jiaxi had already become a top-tier female star and won 2 major mainstream awards. She would also come to make guest appearances in my works when she had time. Liang Jiaxi's name resounded throughout the streets and alleys. With great popularity came being blackmailed, but we got through it all together. I only found out later that because of my younger sister's rebellious nature, her adoptive parents had actually locked her and the mentally disabled boy in the same room, trying to force her to submit. They even drugged her. It was my younger sister who fought desperately to resist and escaped. The mentally disabled boy chased after her, hit his head, and died, so they didn't dare to make a scene. Later, I put down my work and went to study painting. I had a lot of money and a very successful career. Now I live a carefree and unrestrained life. My younger sister was even more dazzling. She worked much harder than me. She really loved this career and enjoyed this feeling. Everyone thought I was the one with the most career ambition, but in the end, my younger sister was called a workaholic. While I went traveling everywhere, she said she was an evil spirit crawling in the dark, finally seeing the light of day. But she didn't know that she was originally the morning sun, the dawn, and would eventually shine brightly. We will both welcome a bright and dazzling new life. Story 2. After the divorce, I received a large sum of money from an unknown source and a safe filled with my photos. On the back of each photo was written, "Wishing Shen Cixi peace and smooth sailing." The name signed was Fu Yunchuan, the name of my ex-husband's brother. He had recently died of liver cancer, starting over in another life. I returned to the day the marriage alliance between our families was agreed upon. Once again given the choice of a marriage partner, I did not hesitate to point to the person in the corner whose gaze had been fixed on me. I choose him. In the private room, there was laughter and cheerful conversation. The woman sitting opposite me smiled kindly. "Shen Cixi, which of our boys do you like?" I snapped back to reality and scanned the surroundings. Wasn't this the place where the Shen and Fu families agreed to the marriage alliance 8 years ago? The realism of the moment made it hard for me to believe. I pinched myself, and the heart-wrenching pain made me realize this was not a dream. Before I could answer, a voice that I loathed to the point of nausea spoke up. "Cixi and I are truly in love. Please rest assured, uncle and aunt, and entrust Cixi to me." The speaker was the marriage partner I had chosen in my past life. The youngest son of the Fu family, Fu Yunjiang. I thought we were truly in love too, so I chose him without hesitation. After we got married, his true nature revealed itself. He gave me the cold shoulder, hardly spent nights at home, and made it clear that he married me only for the resources of the Shen family. I had a mental breakdown and asked for a divorce many times, but he refused. Eventually, when the Shen family was ruined and my father hospitalized with depression, he agreed to sign the divorce papers since I was no longer of any value to him. Just when I was at my lowest, a large sum of money appeared in my bank account. A person claiming to be Fu Yunchuan's assistant approached me and handed me a safe. Before leaving, the assistant told me, "This contains the most precious thing Mr. Fu had in this world. The code is your birthday. Please make sure to open it, Miss Shen." I had an idea about the origin of the money in the bank, but I didn't understand why it was given to me. Filled with doubts, I opened the safe. Inside, it was filled with photos of me, from childhood to my wedding, and on the back of each photo, it read, "Wishing Shen Cixi peace and smooth sailing." Fu Yunjiang once mentioned that his brother had an unrequited love, a white moonlight. A bold idea crossed my mind, but I had only met Fu Yunjiang's brother 3 times. Once at the marriage alliance banquet, once at our wedding, and the last time at his funeral. How could he possibly have feelings for me? "Little Cixi, speak up." My mother's voice pulled my thoughts back from the chaos. Seeing Fu Yunjiang's determined expression, I hardened my face, pointing to Fu Yunchuan, who sat in the dimmest light. I said firmly, "I choose him." "What did you say?" The whole room was shocked by my decision, with Fu Yunjiang reacting the most violently as he slammed the table and stood up. I said, "I choose Fu Yunchuan." I looked at Fu Yunchuan and spoke word by word, hoping he could hear clearly. From the beginning, I had felt a burning gaze following me, but I hadn't thought much of it. It had always been him. A flicker of surprise appeared in Fu Yunchuan's eyes, which quickly returned to normal, but his reddening ear tips betrayed his feigned composure. Fu Yunchuan adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses and looked at me seriously. "Miss Shen, marriage is no child's play. I am a widower, not a divorcee. Please consider carefully." I didn't hesitate. "That suits me perfectly, Shen girl. Are you sure you've thought this through?" weren't you with Yoonjeong? Fu's mother tried to persuade me further, but I interrupted her. In my previous life, I had suffered at the hands of Fu Yoonjeong, and I had sought her help to no avail, every time. I received the same response. Fu Yoonjeong is working hard out there, just hang in there a little longer, but enduring it only led to increasingly severe situations, suppressing an inexplicable sadness in my heart. I said, you don't need to persuade me anymore. This time I choose Fu Yunchuan. I don't agree, Fu Yunjiang retorted, his expression volatile. Fu's father gave him a stern look, prompting him to restrain himself. I knew about his bad temper. Even before we were married in my previous life, he would lose his temper at me. Looking back, I must have been blinded to have fallen for him. His agreement or disagreement doesn't count. My gaze swept past him and settled on Fu Yunchuan, meeting his deep, profound eyes. I wonder if Mr. Fu agrees. He glanced at his watch. The Civil Affairs office hasn't closed yet. Miss Shen, would you like to go now? Of course. My usually silent father looked at me with a reluctant gaze. Well, it resolves a long-standing issue between both families. After both families agreed, I followed Fu Yunchuan out of the private room. He carried himself with an upright grace, making even a plain black trench coat look distinguished and stylish. His long strides moved forward relentlessly, exemplifying what it means to walk with a breeze. After getting into the car, Fu Yunchuan didn't immediately start driving. His expression was serene as his hands, resting on the steering wheel, gradually clenched. Where do you want to go now? I'll take you. I was puzzled. Aren't we going to the Civil Affairs office? Fu Yunchuan's tone was low, his eyes avoiding mine. You weren't just saying that in the heat of the moment because you were upset with him. I instantly realized the misunderstanding and quickly explained, waving my hands. No, I am serious about marrying you. The Fu Yunchuan I remembered was a decisive king in the business world, cold, proud, and distant. In my previous life, after I got married, Fu Yunjiang took over the domestic business while he expanded internationally. But today, I saw his vulnerable side. I remembered how in my previous life, he left me a fortune and locked my photo in a safe. A sudden sting in my heart, driven by curiosity, made me carefully ask him, Mr. Fu, why did you agree to marry me? He paused, a flicker of something unusual passing through his dark eyes. Can I tell you later, alright? I was both apprehensive and eager as I awaited his answer. I was ready, yet he asked to wait. It felt like a TV lottery drawing where the power cuts off just before the last number is revealed. But since we weren't close yet and he didn't want to tell, I didn't press him. After all, there's still a long future ahead. At the entrance of the Civil Affairs office, I hesitated. The scenes of my marriage from my previous life vivid in my mind, casting a huge shadow that made me fearful. Noticing I hadn't followed, Fu Yunchuan, who was walking ahead, stopped. His expression turned despondent, his eyes gradually dimming. I realized that he was like a proud but insecure cat, extremely sensitive and inept at expressing himself. Feeling somewhat embarrassed, I was about to explain when Fu Yunchuan preempted me. You still have the chance to back out now. Marriage is for a lifetime. If you don't want to marry me, I can take you home right now. The phrase a lifetime, which should have been beautiful and full of dreams, sounded unexpectedly solid coming from him. I hurried forward, linking my arm with his. Mr. Fu, the Civil Affairs office is about to close. Let's go in. In less than 5 minutes, Fu Yunchuan and I had our marriage certificate in hand. Fu Yunchuan looked at the little red booklet with a tender gaze, a subtle smile barely detectable at the corner of his mouth. I stared at the marriage certificate, still in disbelief that I had been reborn. Could all this be just a dream? Mr. Fu, I would like to go home for a bit. Sure, I'll take you there. Now that we're married, if you prefer not to live with me, I have no objections. It seemed my offhand comment had triggered an overreaction from him, reading too much into it. I mean, you can come with me. There are some household items that I need help with moving. Mr. Fu, okay. After packing some clothes and receiving a few words of advice from my parents, I followed Fu Yunchuan back to his private villa. His villa was elegantly simple from the outside, yet grand. The interior was done in natural wood, fitting his refined temperament perfectly. A faint scent of fresh grass and wood lingered in the air. If you don't like the decoration here, I can have someone change it tomorrow, he said, probably thinking I didn't like it after seeing me standing still, looking around for quite some time. No, I love it. May I know where my room is? I quickly added an explanation, fearing he might overthink again. Mr. Fu, even though we are officially married, we are still strangers. I think it's better to sleep in separate rooms for now. We have a lifetime ahead to cultivate our feelings, it won't be too late to share a room later. He nodded slightly in agreement, silently carrying the suitcase as we went upstairs. Passing by me, I heard him whisper very softly, "Actually, you can call me by my name." His shyness made me laugh. Who would have thought such a domineering CEO could be so innocent? You have nothing without the Shin family, you are nothing. The girls outside are much more interesting than you. Just hang out with my brothers for a while. Why pretend to be pure now? I knelt on the ground, pleading desperately, "Yoonjeong, please spare me, spare the Shin family." Several hands reached toward me, roughly tearing at my clothes. "No, don't." I suddenly sat up from the bed, breathing heavily. As thunder roared outside, the near bankruptcy of the Shin family in my previous life was a nightmare I could never forget. Fu Yoonjeong was heartless, offering me up to his friends. Fortunately, my best friend arrived just in time to rescue me. Barely clothed, wiping the sweat from my forehead, a thought gradually solidified in my mind. In this life, I was determined to make Fu Yoonjeong empathize with my pain. However, by myself, I could never stand against the Fu family. If Fu Yunchuan was willing to help, things would be much easier. This was one of the reasons why I chose to ally myself with the Fu family again. The thunder outside continued relentlessly. It had completely driven away any sleepiness. My mouth was dry, so I decided to go downstairs for a water and wander around Fu Yunchuan's grand villa. Unexpectedly, as I passed by the study, I saw Fu Yunchuan still inside. Through the half-open door, I saw him holding a photograph, his eyes filled with love. It was already 4 in the morning. It would soon be daylight. Staying up all night isn't good for health. Staying up. Suddenly, I remembered that in my previous life, Fu Yunchuan had died of liver cancer. Could it have been due to staying up late, ignoring politeness? I pushed the door open. Anxiously, I said, "Fu Yunchuan, go to sleep. Staying up is bad for your health." Fu Yunchuan, startled by my sudden appearance, scrambled to stash the photographs on his desk into a safe. Realizing my rashness, sorry, I meant it's already 4 in the morning and you have to work, so you should get some rest now." Fu Yunchuan's smile had lingered in his eyes since he started looking at the photos, and this was the first time I saw him smile so openly. I'll put these things away and then go to sleep." As he spoke, he also placed our marriage certificate into the safe. Seeing the safe, identical to the one from my past life, the safe contains the most precious things in the world to him. The assistant's words echoed over and over in my mind. I asked him why he chose to marry me, perhaps already knowing the answer, but when did he start liking me? Why does he like me? Do I deserve his wholehearted love? What are you thinking about? Why are you awake? Are you scared of the thunder? Fu Yunchuan's 3 gentle inquiries and my 3 puzzled ones made me blurt out something ambiguous. "Yes, I'm scared. I want you to be with me." Upon receiving a positive response from me, Fu Yunchuan did not hesitate. Okay. On the way back to the room with Fu Yunchuan, I really wanted to slap myself for speaking nonsense just now. I was the one who suggested sleeping in separate rooms, and now I was asking to sleep together. I didn't know what Fu Yunchuan would think, whether he would find me unreliable and not keeping promises. As soon as I entered the room, I was shocked by the striking red on the bed. The head of the bed was adorned with the character for happiness, and beside the bed were my favorite sunflowers. Fu Yunchuan had actually decorated the room like a bridal chamber. If I hadn't come to his room, I would have missed his intentions. Thinking about this, I looked at him with mixed emotions. His face flushed. He unconsciously fiddled with the hem of his clothes, like a child whose secret had been discovered. The housekeeper arranged it this afternoon. I didn't know how to respond, as my marriage to him was partly out of guilt and partly for a purpose. I don't deserve his affection. He deserves someone better to be by his side. Fu Yunchuan was confused by my silence, thinking I was disdainful of him. "You sleep on the bed, and I'll stay by your side." I choked on 1,000 words and finally managed to say, "Thank you." Protected by Fu Yunchuan, I had a peaceful night's sleep, free from nightmares. When I woke up, only the housekeeper and a maid were cleaning the house. Upon seeing me, the maid smiled joyfully. "Madam, you are even more beautiful than in the photos." "Ah." The housekeeper, standing nearby, made faces, signaling the maid not to speak, but the maid didn't care. "The sir has shown us your photos." I shyly smiled. "Really?" "Absolutely. I often see the sir looking at your photos and smiling. He really loves you very much." The maid showed a bit of pride while the housekeeper closed his eyes, indicating he couldn't bear to watch. As the maid was about to say more, the housekeeper covered her mouth. But what he himself said was even more explosive. "There's a large sunflower garden in the backyard. personally planted by the Sir. I think he planted it because you like it. Would you like to go see it now? This must be what they mean by if you can't beat them, join them. Thank you for telling me. If they hadn't mentioned it, I might never have known these things from Fu Yunchuan, just as I would never directly ask him if he likes me. Just like the language of sunflowers is silent love, from sunrise to sunset, sunflowers silently follow the sun, representing loyalty and devotion. That's why I like them. Looking at the sea of sunflowers before me, tears fell unknowingly. It seems I have found my lifetime sunflower. I dialed Fu Yunchuan's number. The moment the call connected, my voice trembled uncontrollably. Fu Yunchuan, I want to see you. Fu Yunchuan responded gently, sweetheart, I'll be home soon. Besides the voice of Fu Yunchuan, I also heard someone calling for President Fu. He must be busy, and here I am adding to the chaos. I hastily wiped away my tears and snot, trying to keep my voice steady. You go ahead and take care of your things. After hanging up the phone, I sat alone amidst a sea of flowers, lost in thought. I'm not sure how much time had passed. Footsteps approached from behind, and I was sure it was Fu Yunchuan returning. I turned around joyfully, but the smile froze on my face the moment I saw who it was, and my first instinct was to step back. Why was Fu Yunjiang here? Hearing him say my name only filled me with disgust, enough to make me want to retch. What are you doing here, Why have you suddenly started ignoring me? Did I do something wrong? As he said this, he tried to touch me, attempting to embrace me. Panicking, I tried to pull away from his embrace, let go of me, but I didn't notice a step behind me. I missed it and instinctively lunged forward, falling into his arms. Just then, I saw a tall figure not far away watching us. By the time I steadied myself, the figure had disappeared. I had a bad feeling. He must be angry. Meanwhile, Fu Yunjiang kept babbling. You still love me, right? He still dared to talk to me about love. All I wanted was to tear him apart. Get lost. I'm already married to Fu Yunchuan. Stop bothering me. After pushing him away, I ignored the pain in my ankle and ran towards the house. I hadn't even entered the door when I heard the sound of things being smashed upstairs. A familiar figure hurried towards me as soon as he saw me. It was Fu Yunchuan's assistant from a past life. Madam, our sir has been quite unstable. I've already called the private doctor. Please madam, don't be afraid of sir, and don't get too close. I'm afraid he might hurt you. I shook my head. He's my husband. I'm not afraid. He was upset because of my emotional outburst. How could he hurt me? If anything, he gave me enough confidence to believe he would never harm me. I pushed open the bedroom door, and the room was a mess. But the sunflowers at the bedside were still intact. Fu Yunchuan, with his back to the door, picked up something and was about to throw it at the door, and he yelled, "Get out!" His hand trembled slightly in the last moment before throwing, letting the object fly past me. I was unharmed, but Fu Yunchuan was visibly shaken and quickly strode towards me. He raised his hand wanting to check if I was hurt but, fearing my anger, he lowered it again. His eyes, large and teary, stared at me unblinkingly, looking rather pitiful with a hint of fear of being abandoned flickering through them. Tell me, why are you angry? He remained silent. Is it because you saw me with Fu Yunjiang? He nodded slightly. He tried to make advances on me. I dodged and accidentally missed a step, instinctively grabbing him. So there's nothing between us. Don't overthink it, okay? He nodded again, the tension in his neck easing, apparently no longer angry. I looked at him with sympathy. Next time, please ask me first. Don't just sulk on your own. Okay. Did you get hurt anywhere? He raised his hand, childlike, showing me his wound. My hand hurts. Let's not have a next time. Outside the door, the family doctor and the assistant excitedly embraced each other. Finally, someone can take charge of the boss. No more living in fear, a medical miracle indeed, someone more effective than a sedative. Me. From Fu Yunchuan's family doctor, I learned that Fu Yunchuan suffers from bipolar disorder, sometimes depressive and sometimes irritable. His condition developed over the years during his upbringing. Being the eldest son, the elders in the Fu family were very strict with him from a young age. The heavy responsibilities of the family mostly fell on him, while Fu Yunjiang could choose to do anything he liked, but as the older brother, he could not. In my previous life, before I got married, Fu Yunchuan was in charge of the family's domestic business. After getting married, he went abroad to start from scratch and help expand the family's international business. Fu Yunchuan has always been alone. Learning the full story deepened my resentment toward Fu Yunjiang, wishing I could send him to prison right now. Yes, to prison, as far as I know. Fu Yunjiang has been involved in numerous illegal activities. If I could get the evidence, I could definitely ruin him completely, but this would inevitably affect the Fu family, and I don't want Fu Yunchuan to be hurt, so, I still need to ask for his opinion. During our usual evening walk after dinner, I gathered the courage to ask, Yunchuan, what would you do if one day you found out a family member was doing something wrong? He suddenly stopped, letting me look into his eyes. His indulgent gaze seemed to tell me that no matter what, he would be my strong support. Afraid that I might not understand, he gave a firm answer, whatever you would do, I would do. The setting sun cast a beautiful glow over the sea of sunflowers. Overwhelmed by the beauty, I couldn't help but stand on my tiptoes to kiss Fu Yunchuan. The kiss was intense, and as I pressed my lips against his, he initially stiffened but then smiled slightly, turning passivity into dominance. Assertive and domineering, it was a while before he let me go, his voice hoarse with desire. Sweetheart, stop tormenting me, I'm not that strong-willed. I clearly understood his meaning, burying my head in his chest coyly. Perhaps we could go to the room. He scooped me up like a hungry wolf, his breath moist in my ear. No backing out. I also made my intentions clear to him, no regrets in this lifetime. After a night of passion, when I woke up, it was already noon. Even Fu Yunchuan, who usually wakes up before 7, was still lying beside me. Seeing me awake, he reached out to pull me into his arms. Are you hungry? Starved? My voice was hoarse, barely squeezing out the words. The instigator, seeing my disheveled state, actually laughed, annoyed. I kicked him a few times. Fu Yunchuan, you still dare to laugh? Tonight I'm sleeping in another room. Sweetheart, it's not up to you. Indeed, even the most gentle-looking men release their wild side once they've had a taste. How did the checkup go? Remembering that he died of liver cancer in my previous life, I had him undergo a full-body checkup. While eating, Fu Yunchuan put down his chopsticks. Do you think I'm not okay? His intense gaze made me feel as if saying yes would guarantee I wouldn't be able to leave the bed for days. Scared, I even dropped the food I was holding. No, no, no. Being healthy and being okay are two different things. I hope you can stay with me for a long time. All indicators are very healthy. I can satisfy you. This man changes too quickly. Just a short while ago, even holding hands made him blush for a long time. You, don't talk nonsense. After Fu Yunchuan left for the office, I drove to a bar. This bar is privately owned by Fu Yunjiang, and it contains a hidden space where he frequently conducts illegal transactions. Regrettably, I couldn't remember the exact location. Otherwise, I wouldn't have agreed to meet Fu Yunjiang. Fu Yunjiang, I'm waiting for you at the entrance, baby. I'll be right there. Laughter came through the phone, and if you listened closely, you could even hear bashful panting. It was utterly disgusting how he could hold one woman while calling another woman baby. Less than 2 minutes after hanging up, he rushed towards me with a flushed face. That was fast. Xiaoxi, I've missed you so much. Instinctively, I took a step backward as he reached out to me, to avoid arousing his suspicion. Pretending to be shy, I said, Brother Yunjiang, I missed you too. This is the proposal for Fu Yunchuan's next project. For the sake of my goals, I had to endure. Baby, you're wonderful. He happily took the USB drive and casually grabbed my hand. Currently, Fu Yunchuan is the head of the Fu Corporation, while Fu Yunjiang is just a department manager, having only recently joined the company. When Fu Yunchuan first joined the company, he started from the very bottom. But Fu Yunjiang was given a high starting point by their father, yet, he was not satisfied. In the past, before he was married, he often complained to me about always living in his brother's shadow and how their parents were biased, and I, foolishly, asked my father to give him the Shin Corporation project to help him climb the corporate ladder. In this life, without the support of the Shin family, he is nothing. Thus, he harbored malicious thoughts, hoping to use me to bring down Fu Yunchuan. Foolish man, resorting only to such despicable tactics. The show has started, and no matter how difficult, I must play my part. Brother Yunjiang, I am nice to Fu Yunchuan only so you can take over the Fu family business sooner. I pushed you away last time because Fu Yunchuan was watching. ACI still needs to stay undercover to help you get the information. You wouldn't blame ACI, right? I even squeezed out a few tears after saying this. Fu Yunchuan is going abroad tomorrow for business. Can you take me here for fun? I also want to enter your circle. Excitement was unmistakable in Fu Yunjiang's eyes. He had always hinted at wanting to bring me here in his past life. I despised places like this. and I always refused. Eventually, he lost patience and forcibly brought me here to satisfy his peculiar tastes. Psy, why would a young lady come to a bar? Let's go somewhere else to have fun. Such a hypocrite. Putting on a show of decency. Psy is not a child anymore. I am willing to cooperate with Brother Yunjiang. Let's come here. You disobedient little girl, I'll bring you here tomorrow. Don't be upset. That was the phrase I was waiting for. I lowered my head and pushed his hand away, not letting him see the lack of a smile on my face. I have been out for too long. Fu Yunchuan might get suspicious. I should head back. Fortunately, Fu Yunjiang cooperated and let go of my hand. Psy, can I have a kiss from you? Even at the verge of leaving, this sleazy man still wanted to disgust me. After a few uncontrollable twitches at the corner of my mouth, I forced a smile. Brother Yunjiang, it's too public here, and you know I'm shy. Wait to have your way tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'll be waiting for you. The first thing I did when I got home was wash my hands. Dirty, it was really filthy, so I increased my effort, completely ignoring my hands that had started to bleed, until someone knocked on the bathroom door. Xiao Guai, what are you doing in there? It was Fu Yunchuan. I hadn't expected him to come home so early today. What should I do? Fu Yunchuan is so thoughtful. He will definitely be worried about me. The urgent knocking sounded again. If I didn't go out now, the door would probably not hold. It's okay, I'll be right out. Fortunately, the wound wasn't big. As long as it wasn't visible, it wouldn't be noticed. But Fu Yunchuan knows me too well. He always notices when something is off and manages to pinpoint the issue. He gently held my hand, blowing on it softly. It seemed like he thought this method could lessen my pain, and indeed, it did help. Did he do this? I knew it. Fu Yunchuan must have known that I went to see that person, which is why he came home right after me. I lowered my head, unable to meet his eyes. No, I did it myself. Fu Yunchuan took a deep breath and continued to blow on my hand. I cautiously looked up, trying to read the expression on his face. Aren't you going to ask why I went to see him? A smile flickered in his eyes. Because I trust you. I hope you can rely on me. Tell me what happened, and let me share the burden. Hearing the word rely, I could no longer hold back, and tears burst forth like a flood. Ever since my rebirth, I had been on edge, afraid of repeating past mistakes, afraid to show my vulnerability, afraid of being abandoned again. Each time, it was Fu Yunchuan who, when I was on the brink of an abyss, would tell me, hold on to me, I'll get you out. I told Fu Yunchuan everything about my rebirth, my marriage to Fu Yunjiang, and the near assault. I had thought before not to disclose the disgraceful incidents, worried he might despise me. But now, I just wanted Fu Yunchuan to accept all of me, good and bad, knowing he could embrace it all. After listening, Fu Yunchuan comforted me to stop crying while his own eyes turned red. I'm sorry, I should have been braver, confessed to you earlier, and prevented your hurt. I gently wiped away his tears with my fingertips. Thank God for giving me a second chance, allowing us not to miss out on each other again. Something seemed to dawn on Fu Yunchuan, his gaze turning murderous. It's time to clean house. I won't hinder your plans, but you must follow my arrangements, as you command. The next day, I kept my appointment punctually, wearing the boldest makeup and the thickest clothes. Fu Yunchuan wouldn't let me wear a skirt and even put a jacket on me, so much so that when Fu Yunjiang saw me, he was baffled. Ci, are you cold? I forced a smile. I have a cold, afraid of the cold. Disdain flickered in Fu Yunjiang's eyes. Who comes to a bar in a white t-shirt and jeans? It's okay, it'll be warm inside. He was already eager, wrapping his arm around my waist and leading me into the bar, following Fu Yunjiang through 3 long corridors, until we reached a wall. He pressed hard on a dragon-shaped fixture on the wall. A door appeared out of nowhere. It was clear that he had put a lot of thought into constructing this hidden room. Inside the concealed space, the lighting was even more glaring than outside. Several couples sat on the sofas, openly engaging in their activities, kissing and more. The feeling of physical discomfort intensified. Guys, this is my girlfriend, Miss Shin from the Shin family. Isn't she beautiful? After saying this, he handed me a glass of wine. I continued to play sick. Brother Yunjiang, I took some antibiotics. I can't drink alcohol. Before coming here, Fu Yunjiang repeatedly reminded me not to touch anything, especially food and drinks, unrelenting. Fu Yunjiang suggested, then have some juice. To avoid arousing his suspicion, I reluctantly accepted it. Then I changed the subject. They look so happy. I want to be happy too. Fu Yunjiang pointed to the drink in my hand. Drink this, and I'll tell you how. He was indirectly forcing me to drink, and I knew without a doubt that something had been added to it. what if I don't drink it? I swirled the juice, feigning innocence. Fu Yunjiang, undeterred and with a sleazy expression, said. Then let's get started. After pushing me onto the sofa with force, he hurriedly began to unbuckle his belt, while the onlookers cheered him on. Master Fu, Miss Shen clearly needs some disciplining. Let the brothers witness Master Fu's prowess today. Their comments became increasingly explicit, and Fu Yunjiang was visibly excited by the provocation. I watched as if it were just a spectacle, not frightened at all. Because my police best friend and Fu Yunjiang were already waiting outside the door. Just then, as if on cue, there was a roar. Damn it, how dare you touch my woman? The man who was on top of me was kicked into the corner. After a few more punches, Fu Yunjiang was left unable to move. Once again, it was my best friend who first came to my rescue. Fu Yunjiang rushed in, headed straight for me on the sofa, scooped me up, and pressed me tightly against his chest. Shen Ci, you did that on purpose. Didn't you? Yes, I love seeing you go crazy for me. Actually, when we found this hidden room, I could have signaled to wrap things up, but I deliberately delayed to make Fu Yunjiang anxious. Bai Yuyu's brows were furrowed. Hey, you two can be affectionate back at home. Thank you, Yuyu. Thank me by giving me a godson or goddaughter soon. I want to raise them from a young age, train them. The peaceful scene was interrupted by groans from the corner. Fu Yunjiang, disappointed like a parent with an unfulfilling child, added 2 more kicks. You've completely tarnished the Fu family's reputation, focusing on these shady businesses instead of the Fu Corporation. And don't think I don't know about your financial dealings with other companies. I've already handed over the evidence of your bribery and tax evasion to the police. Just wait for your imprisonment. Fu Yunjiang struggled to lift his head. Dad will help me. What a joke. I knew his parents from the Fu family, who were strict and honorable, would never help him. He was a cancer to the family, and it was already merciful that they hadn't cut him off sooner. Fu Yunjiang, with a frosty face, relayed a message from his father. You are no longer a member of the Fu family. Fu Yunjiang tried to argue further, but Bai Yuyu, annoyed by the noise, had him dragged away. The ending I had long hoped for was finally realized, and the heavy stone in my heart was lifted. All the happiness seemed surreal. Fortunately, I have a husband who understands my love-struck mind, and he can turn the unreal into reality. Honey, what's our next mission? Organize a wedding and then have a baby. The wedding arrived as scheduled. Before the wedding day, Fu Yunchuan had been keeping secrets and didn't reveal any details to me. Finally, the day arrived. I held my father's hand, waiting for the entrance gate to slowly open. The wedding march began to play. The venue was decorated entirely with sunflowers, as beautiful as an oil painting. Seeing the scene, identical to one from a past life, I instantly understood that Fu Yunchuan had personally arranged my previous wedding as well. Tears inevitably started to fall. It was my fault for being so oblivious. I was constantly surrounded by his love yet never truly perceived it. At the wedding speech, Fu Yunchuan looked at me with adoring eyes and loudly exclaimed, "Wife, I hope your life is peaceful and smooth, and I want the whole world to hear it." His childish behavior successfully made me laugh. Bow your head. I only want you to hear this. Fu Yunchuan obediently bent down. Then you must live well. Extra story. 1. The patient's breathing and heartbeat have been restored. I groggily opened my eyes to a bright light. When I opened my eyes again, excited voices filled the large hospital room. President Fu, you're awake. The doctors were lying. They said you had no will to live, that you might not wake up. Wang Yang, always so dramatic. Having spent a lot of time with Shen Ci, I had grown to enjoy this kind of liveliness. Where's my wife? For some reason, Wang Yang's bright smile vanished instantly, and he looked down, avoiding my gaze. After a moment of silence, he spoke in a very soft voice. President Fu, you are not married. What nonsense is this child talking about? If I weren't in such poor health, I would give him a good beating. How can you forget your wife, Shen Ci? Wang Yang quickly looked up to check my emotional state, then looked down again. You've forgotten again. Miss Shen passed away from liver cancer a year ago. You attended her funeral. You're talking nonsense. I just married her. My voice grew quieter, eventually turning into a murmur. Just now, she was whispering in my ear, telling me to live well. President Fu, please, don't get agitated. I'll call the doctor. I murmured softly. How can this be? She has just married me. But while I vehemently denied it, I was also gradually coming to terms with reality. 2. After being discharged from the hospital, I went to the prison to visit someone. Brother, I know I was wrong. The person in front of me cried profusely. Yet their face showed no sign of regret. A year ago, after hearing of Shinxi's death, I thought Fu Yunjiang was joking. After rushing back to the country overnight, I saw Shinxi at the memorial service. Fu Yunjiang's expression was the same as now, feigning regret. That night, after catching Fu Yunjiang bringing another woman home, it didn't seem like his first time. After I hit him, he provocatively said, "That woman doesn't care about me anymore, she's a ghost now and cares even less." I realized that Shinxi hadn't had a happy marriage. From Bai Yuyu, I also learned that Fu Yunjiang, that scoundrel, treated Shinxi as a plaything and passed her around to others. As I couldn't find evidence to convict him, the matter was unresolved. After hearing all this, I felt my blood freeze, and I was beyond tears. She was supposed to be the sun, how could she be so scarred? The person I held dear, he failed to cherish her. Leaving him in society would only cause harm. And it was time I cleaned house for the Fu family. Over 6 months, I gradually took control of the domestic businesses, collecting evidence of Fu Yunjiang's counterfeit goods and bribery, evidence of tax evasion. All of it was finally handed over to Bai Yuyu. "No, you don't understand. Shinxi will never come back. If it hadn't been for you, she wouldn't have died. I will not easily let go of anyone who has hurt Shinxi." Before I left, I gave him a piece of news. "You will spend the rest of your life inside, repenting." 3. It was evening, and I returned to the sunflower field. I sat where Shinxi had sat in my dreams, reminiscing about the past. I met 10-year-old Shinxi at the hospital when I was 15. The first time I saw her, I was sitting on a bench, daydreaming. A little girl holding a bouquet of sunflowers suddenly fell heavily in front of me. I moved my feet away in distaste and coldly watched as she picked herself up from the ground. After she stood up, she put her hands on her hips. "Why didn't you help me up?" I don't like physical contact and ignored her, moving to another spot to sit. The little girl followed me relentlessly. "You're sick, aren't you? That's why you don't have the strength." What a fool, making excuses for others. "Then I'll give you a bouquet of sunflowers. Get well soon." I was just here to play. I wasn't sick. Seeing that I didn't accept them, she wasn't upset, and left the bouquet on the chair next to me before running off. The next day, I was sitting in the usual spot and saw that girl again, still smiling as she gave me a bouquet of sunflowers. From the third day on, I actually started looking forward to seeing her. After a long wait, I thought she wouldn't come again. Just as I was about to leave, she asked, "Brother, are you feeling better?" I nodded, looking at the sunflowers in her hand. She immediately understood and handed me a bouquet. "Get well soon." For the next month, I was there every day waiting for her. As long as it didn't rain, she would come, but then, she stopped coming. After inquiring at the hospital, I learned that the girl who brought sunflowers to the hospital every day was Shinxi, the daughter of Uncle Shen. Fortunately, our families were on good terms, so there would definitely be a chance to meet again. Young love grew wildly. I wanted to see her but was also afraid she'd be scared. I only watched her from a distance. Finally, when she grew up, under my encouragement, our parents decided on a marriage alliance with the Shen family. But why did she fall for Fu Yunjiang? We were the ones who met first. My heart sank into an icy cellar. I so wanted to tell her that I loved her, but seeing the happy smile on her face, I knew it was time to step back. I took on the task of preparing Fu Yunjiang's wedding. Perhaps this would give me brief comfort, fantasizing that she was marrying me. Before going abroad, I secretly took a photo of Shinxi's smile for the last time, capturing her happiest moment forever. In a daze, I saw Shinxi smiling again. "I'm sorry I couldn't come back sooner." As I reached out to embrace her, her shadow disappeared. Suddenly, a gust of wind entered my embrace, spreading warmth throughout my body. I murmured in a trance, "Is that you?" As the wind blew past my ears, I seemed to hear Shinxi's voice. "Thank you for everything you've done for me." Epilogue. The first meeting was a fleeting glance. The encounter was like spring to withered wood. The reunion was unexpected. Each day spent making up for regrets was a countdown to the end. In the end, it was all but a dream, and upon waking, you were no longer in this world. Do you regret it, you timid secret admirer?